us to go into this period of no comms.
Yeah, and we do expect that that blackout period has probably begun at this point.
That's
and
right.
Speaking of visual cues, I've had the opportunity to talk to some of the astronauts that have flown on our Dragon spacecraft, and they've said it's kind of one of the most spectacular sights they've seen.
Really?
With different, they said it looks like sparks outside of the window, but with multiple different colors, multiple different looks of what that plasma heating up around the vehicle looks like. So they should be experiencing that right now. The AX-4 crew still inside of the Dragon spacecraft. Again, this blackout period will last approximately 6 to 7 minutes. And again, we won't hear any comms throughout this period until the expected blackout time is complete, and then we'll start hearing comms from the core calling out to the crew.
That's right.
As we begin the second half of entry, Dragon is now beginning to flush nitrox into the cabin and continuing to top off the AX-4 crew's suits with cool air. Again, this is what will allow the cabin temperature to remain comfortable while, as I mentioned, the external temperatures reach 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit. The heat shield is pointing forward, leading the spacecraft to the landing site. Dragon's primary heat shield is comprised of Pika 3.0, which stands for Phenolic Impregnated Carbon Ablator. First generation Pika was first developed by NASA for studying and sampling comets within our solar system. SpaceX then partnered with NASA to develop Pika X, which was the second generation product used on all Dragon 1 commercial resupply missions that successfully resupplied the space station on 20 missions. Pika 3.0 was developed specifically for use on Dragon as we prepared to begin flying crew with enhanced structural and thermal properties that optimized the heat shield and drove down cost and mass. The remainder of the Crew Dragon spacecraft is composed primarily of a SpaceX proprietary ablative material. It's another class of thermal protection, which is lighter weight versus Pika and protects the underlying composite structure during re-entry to ensure the structural capabilities are maintained. Now, while Dragon will experience temperatures well over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit during peak re-entry conditions, the characteristics of the TPS or thermal protection systems, coupled with the Egress environmental control and life support system in the pressurized interior will ensure that the AX-4 crew will stay cool and comfortable during all the phases of re-entry through splashdown with all that heat surrounding them.
Exactly right. Well, now, as AX-4 set a new benchmark for private astronaut missions with the most research activities executed aboard an Axiom space mission to the International Space Station to date. With over 60 experiments representing 31 countries, the mission showcased the growing global interest in leveraging low Earth orbit for scientific discovery. The research portfolio included 8 technology demonstrations, 12 life science investigations, and 27 research projects. And this research spanned a wide range of disciplines, from cancer biology to regenerative medicine, to even artificial intelligence, agriculture, and materials science. And this further demonstrates how low Earth orbit is a platform for innovation. Now, many of these studies were designed to address challenges both in space and on Earth, such as improving disease.
Just 9 odd minutes left before Shubhanshu Shukla splashes down, along with the rest of its crew. It's dark. It's past 2 a.m. in the morning off the west coast of America. The splashdown is off the coast of San Diego. In the Pacific, there is a comms blackout period happening right now. No communications because of the intense heat which is built up around the spaceship. Don't worry, that's expected. But it would be fairly tense until such time as communications gets restored. Now, you've got on the right-hand side of our screen our entire NDTV newsroom, who instead of working are evidently more focused on what exactly is happening on the monitor. And because and let's go back to that image, please. It just sort of gives you an image of our newsroom.
Actually sometimes come from the research that happens in space.
Exactly right. Exactly right. One of the things we were talking about earlier is a major aspect of long duration spaceflight is the radiation impacts. And I know for me personally, I thought one of the really interesting research topics or research experiments that was being conducted on orbit for AX-4 was looking at what are the different materials and properties that we can use to protect against space radiation. So during the mission, we had a great call between Peggy, Suave, and Dr. Lucy Lowe with Axiom Space to discuss exactly what it is that we're trying to protect for and understand why space radiation is so difficult to wrap. So, missions like AX4, they're all important, and we are now seeing
visuals
great
out. Let's just go full. Let's just take a look at what's happening.
Spacecraft making its return back to Earth right now.
And while we are in a blackout period, this is an excellent view, seeing Dragon from the ground as it's re-entering back into Earth's atmosphere. Now, that blackout period is expected to conclude at 2:25 a.m. Pacific time, so just a couple more minutes here, and then hopefully we'll get some comms back between the core and the crew. But in the meantime, at least got some cool views of the crew almost back down here on Earth.
Exactly right. And making that kind of visual confirmation is such an important part of what we're tracking today. We're tracking a lot of very dynamic operations. And so being able to see what we see on the screen there is incredibly important for mission controllers.
Dragon, SpaceX, comm check.
Again, we may not hear the crew until they do get those comms back, that acquisition of signal.
Dragon, SpaceX, comm check.
SpaceX Dragon, we have you loud and clear.
Dragon, we have you the same. Expect automated chute deployment.
Dragon copies, automated chute deployed.
And great news, as you heard there, we got comms from the X4 crew.
That's exactly what we're waiting for, and I love that you can hear the excitement in Peggy's voice, too.
Yeah.
It's like she's done this before.
Maybe a few times. A great live view on your screen inside of Dragon as they are re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. And we did hear confirmation that there will be the automatic drogue and parachute deployment coming up here shortly.
And on your screen with that great live view.
GPS converge. Expect nominal altitude for drogue chute deploy.
Copy. Nominal GPS chute deploy.
Now we're going to hear a lot of comms back and forth throughout these last 5 minutes here as the Corps will be calling out their altitude as they're making their way down, as well as when the drogue parachutes deploy and the main parachutes deploy. And then as they get closer and closer to Earth, just keeping the crew updated with how close they are before splashdown so that they can expect that splashdown.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And those are the things that crew that you're seeing there on the left side of your screen are following along with their onboard telemetry. And for you at home as well, you can see on your screens as well, things like vehicle speed, vehicle altitude. All those are really important metrics that we're trying to understand as part of the visual confirmations, the audio communications or the verbal communications that we've gotten with crew. We're also getting vehicle communications and telemetry to all understand how we're looking as we lead up to these next 4 minutes before.
And there you can see on your screen, the seats are rotating for the crew. This prepares them for that splashdown, so they do
brace for drogue window.
How we're looking as
they do
these next 4 minutes
reorient the crew. And there you can
Very
see
soon you will
the
see
seats
the
are rotating,
parachute deploying.
During re-entry.
Crew is braced.
And then they are sitting up a little bit more upright for those drogue and main parachutes to deploy.
That's right. Having them in that position helps distribute the forces correctly so that when they're experiencing that dynamic event, they're as comfortable as they can possibly be.
Yeah. We're now waiting for confirmation that the Dragon's chutes have deployed, coming up here just in under a minute or so. Just prior to the deployment of the initial drogue chutes, Dragon automatically safes the propulsion system. Dragon then deploys its drogue parachutes to stabilize and decelerate the vehicle. Then just before drogue deployment, seats automatically rotate to 26 degrees, which we just saw there, to keep the crew within acceptable G limits for entry and landing. And
excellent view.
Great view. Drogue parachutes are deployed. View looking forward.
Drogue descent rate nominal.
Descent rate nominal, copy.
Again, we're going to hear a lot of comms throughout this next 3 minutes here. This is looking forward on the Dragon spacecraft up at the chutes. sure parachutes are fully deployed now. So we do expect those main parachutes to deploy here shortly.
If you're just joining us, we have now confirmed that the AX-4 crew on their return home is roughly 2.5 minutes out from splashdown, and our main chutes have deployed.
Main chute descent rate nominal.
Copy. Main chute descent rate nominal, 1,000 meters for Dragon.
We copy 1,000 meters.
Great visual confirmation as well as those comms that the 4 main parachutes have deployed. Again, we are going to be slowing down the vehicle from 350 miles per hour all the way down to just about 15, 16 miles per hour by the time that the vehicle touches down and splashes down into the ocean.
Exactly right. You know, you mentioned these beautiful visual confirmations that we're getting. You know, an important aspect of today's specific splashdown is that it's occurring at night.
SpaceX Dragon 800.
Copy 800 meters.
Commander Peggy Whitson confirming the spacecraft's altitude as it's making its descent into the Pacific Ocean just off the coast of San Diego in Southern California.
Yes, love that it's coming off the coast of my hometown.
600 meters.
600 meters.
At 600 meters, we're just under a minute before that expected splashdown. Landing in water is a lot simpler and more reliable. Provides a little bit of margin against unlikely parachute issues. We did have to learn how to make Dragon waterproof as we are splashing down into the ocean. But
SpaceX copies 400 meters. Reminder to brace for splashdown.
Oh, that's a pretty cool view.
Yeah. That's right. Maintaining the vehicle's signature through things like cloud layer and any kind of atmospheric disturbance allows us to maintain visual contact with the vehicle as it's making its final descent for its water landing.
And it's a little foggy, as you can see there.
Yeah, Pacific fog is rolling in.
We've got some very bright lights as Dragon, you can see the ocean there. Dragon is about to touch down in just a few seconds here.
And working their way towards the vehicle are the SpaceX and Axiom support teams that will be present for the next phase of our splashdown coverage today. At this point, we'll be waiting for confirmation of the crew's safe landing, and then we'll move into the phases of this mission, which are really, let's recover the vehicle, let's recover the crew, let's make our assessments, and at that point, we'll be covering it.
And we have splashdown of the AX-4 crew back on planet Earth.
Welcome home.
SpaceX Dragon splashdown. We are in Stable 1.
SpaceX copies splashdown in Stable 1. On behalf of SpaceX, welcome home.
And thanks for the great ride and the safe trip, and Grace is happy to be back.
We are happy to have you back home safely as well.
Some words between the Corps and our Commander Peggy Whitson as the AX-4 crew has made it back home, splashed down at
Dragon. SpaceX, for your awareness, 50 system verifications are in progress. I will report back when recovery personnel are en route.
Dragon.
Yeah, so now you can see a couple fast boats are going to be approaching the Dragon spacecraft. They're going to start with making sure that the spacecraft is safe. They're going to do some sniff checks. They're going to pick up those main parachutes. As Dragon splashed down, the chutes were immediately cut to make sure there's no safety issues there. So we'll pick up those main parachutes up.
All right, in case you've just tuned in, the Dragon spacecraft with Shubhanshu Shukla on board has successfully splashed down off the coast of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean just a few moments back. It's been an entirely safe process. The splashdown was absolutely nominal. On the right-hand side of your screen, you've got photos from CMS Lucknow, and you can see the parents of Shubhanshu Shukla. His mother, extremely emotional. She has been for a while. But these are tears of joy, from tears of stress and nervousness to tears of joy at this stage, as that family rightfully gets emotional at this stage. This brings to an end, essentially, what has been a fairly remarkable mission. Let's go back to what Axiom Space is saying in their commentary. And in a little while from now, we expect Shubhanshu Shukla and the rest of the mission to actually move to the craft next to them and get back to a ship, and before they are brought back to San Diego.
Dragon then automatically saves any pyrotechnics still present on the vehicle and may automatically perform additional minor system reconfigurations. The astronauts remain seated and in their suits at this point, but the onboard air conditioning keeps temperatures in check inside the spacecraft, and the communication systems on board remain powered so the crew can continue to communicate.
And as we're watching, SpaceX has 2 fast boats in the recovery fleet, which move very quickly to get to the splashdown point. And those are being followed by Shannon, the main recovery vessel, which will move into position upwind of the spacecraft. The 2 fast boats have very specific roles here in these operations. The first fast boat makes initial contact and is focused on immediate safety inspection of the vehicle, checking for vehicle integrity and any presence of hypergolic propellant vapors. This ensures that it's safe for Shannon to approach the Dragon spacecraft. Now, once Dragon is cleared for full approach, the team begins rigging the spacecraft for water recovery by the recovery ship. The second fast boat is responsible for parachute recovery and also serves a redundant boat to the first. So we'll see a team member. We'll also see a team member on a jet ski helping to get.
After accomplishing a successful voyage, and after having conducted some of the very vital life-bearing experiments never done before, and therefore, as I said, today indeed, Bharat has found an enduring space in the world of space. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And as you all know, the chronology of it that would follow, all of them would be in the quarantine for over next 1 week, maybe up to 23rd. And from 24th onwards, they would be having team discussions with the experts from the ISRO. Then for the next 3-4 days that will continue, after which they would be spending time having separate discussions with the representatives of Axiom, representatives of SpaceX, and representatives of NASA separately. That's called debriefing. And after that is accomplished, which would go on for about maybe nearly 2 weeks, till about 12th or 13th of April, then they'll start preparations for returning home, in case of Shubhanshu to return back to India. So that could be around 14th or 15th, the preparations will begin. And as of now, we speculate that he should be with us over here on the 17th of August. 17th of August. जैसा मैंने कहा कि विश्व के लिए ये गर्व का पल तो है ही है, भारत के लिए एक अद्भुत आनंद का पल कि भारत माँ का एक सुपुत्र आज कामयाबी से लौटा है, एक ऐसे प्रयोग से, एक ऐसी यात्रा से जिसमें बहुत सारे ऐसे एक्सपेरिमेंट्स किए गए जो पहले कभी ना किए गए थे, लेकिन जिनका समस्त मानव जाति के लिए महत्व रहेगा। और जैसे मोदी जी हमें हमेशा सिखाते हैं वसुदेव कुटुंबकम, और साथ ही साथ हमें याद करवाते हैं कि भारत को विश्व बंधु बन करके अपनी भूमिका निभानी है। आज वास्तव में विश्व बंधु के रूप में शुभांशु ने हमारी तर्जुमानी करते हुए वो काम वहाँ अंजाम दिया है और ये कह सकते हैं कि अंतरिक्ष में एक स्थायी स्थान भारत को आज स्थापित करने का अवसर भी रहा, सफलता भी रही। And as I said, in the true spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and also in the true spirit of discharging the role of Vishwa Bandhu as envisaged by Prime Minister Modi, a son of Mother India has accomplished for the entire mankind some of such experiments which were never conducted before, but which would have a bearing, which would have relevance for the mankind across the world, across the planet Earth. Thank you. और इसमें हाँ वापसी का भी चलिए हिंदी में बता देते हैं कि अभी रात को 11:30 बजे के लगभग वहाँ से उनकी रवानगी होगी, हॉस्टल पहुँचना होगा 8:30 और 9 के बीच में, जो हिंदुस्तानी टाइम है, भारत इंडियन स्टैंडर्ड टाइम, 8:30 और 9 के लगभग उनकी रवानगी होगी वहाँ से। अभी वो लैंड हुए हैं ऑफ द कैलिफोर्निया कोस्ट सैन डिएगो में। 8:30-9 बजे के वहाँ से रवाना होने के बाद उसके पश्चात लगभग 2.5-3 घंटे का रास्ता है, 11:30 बजे तक लगभग ह्यूस्टन पहुँचेंगे। अगले 5-6 दिन रिहैबिलिटेशन की एक्सरसाइज चलेगी।
Board the spacecraft,
Yep.
do some final safety checks, and then help begin setting up the rigging for the spacecraft to be lifted out of the water.
That's right. It's all part of a coordination, a choreography of events, right? Getting from spacecraft is in the water. What are the next few steps that have to occur before we can get Dragon onto the recovery vessel Shannon? And this is a very key moment in that.
Yeah, and right now you can see them doing the sniffs, making sure that there's no hazardous gas or chemicals around the vehicle and that it's safe for the team to actually approach and climb onto the spacecraft. And as always, the recovery crew is wearing the PPE necessary to perform these operations. PPE is personal protective equipment.
And it's a good reminder that even in this phase of the mission, we're excited crew is home, but the job's not done yet.
उसके लिए सबको हम आभार प्रकट करते हैं और ईश्वर को धन्यवाद।
आपकी आखिरी बात कल हुई थी, क्या कुछ उस समय बात हुई थी? अब तो पूरा मिशन कंप्लीट हो गया, क्या कहना? धन्यवाद, आपको धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद spacecraft.
आप लोगों का भी धन्यवाद जो आप लोगों ने इतना सबको दिखाया, पूरी मेहनत की, दुनिया को दिखाया कि कैसे गया और कैसे आया बेटा, मतलब पूरा आप लोगों ने दिखाया। इसके लिए आप सबको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
आंटी थोड़ा इमोशनल भी हो गई थी आप उस वक्त जब लैंडिंग
बेटा इतने दिन बाद लौटा है तो थोड़ा सा भावुक होना बनता है,
लेकिन खुशी है
बहुत ज्यादा।
कल बात हुई थी, क्या कुछ बात हुई थी, क्या कह रहे थे आखिरी समय में?
कल नहीं बात हुई है, परसों बात हुई थी।
धन्यवाद है आपको, धन्यवाद है सबको, धन्यवाद है
सबको, धन्यवाद है, बहुत खुश
पूरा परिवार
बहुत बड़ा मिशन करके आया।
करो आप जाओ इधर।
The best thing. We still have something to watch. आप सब लोगों का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। And we are so happy. We have next step right now. Please watch that immediately. It's important one. Very important. He's coming out of the cupola. That cupola. Please watch that.
The team is going to do some medical checks. They are going to do that on a private net. And that's what those comms were, confirming that they are switching the nets that they will be communicating on. And this is just to make sure that the crew is feeling okay.
Exactly right.
Through all those dynamic events.
Yep.
While for us watching Dragon re-enter the Earth's atmosphere from afar, there's a lot going on in that spacecraft there with the crew. So just making sure that the crew is feeling good and checking in with how they're doing.
Exactly. It's an important As just mentioned, it's a very dynamic phase of flight. And those private medical conferences or PMCs with a SpaceX flight surgeon really allow ground teams to be able to make an initial assessment of crew while the team is also the ground teams outside are continuing to work that rigging. They mentioned it take about 25 minutes for crew to rig and then hoist.
If you've just tuned in, these are fairly remarkable images, video coming in from off the coast of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean. That's where the Crew Dragon spacecraft with Shubhanshu Shukla on board has successfully splashed down a couple of minutes back, right on schedule. And at this stage, it's a process. They don't get out of that right away. There are two boats which approach it with crew with very specific tasks. They have to ensure that, in case there are any pyrotechnics, any explosives remaining, from the deployment of the parachutes, which we saw a little while earlier on, those are made safe. Then there is the astronauts on board get onto a separate net for communications, where they'd be communicating with doctors and others on their medical condition, whether they're feeling okay. That essentially would be a formality at this stage. But there was that 6-minute period. It's not unknown. It happens all the time, but it is nonetheless quite dramatic when for a period of 6 minutes shortly before splashing down, their communications go off. Pallav explaining how it has a great deal to do with plasma build-up, temperatures above 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which prevents communications from taking place. And then, of course, there was that one fantastic image. It was an infrared image of the Crew Dragon spacecraft being captured. And then when they were asked on the second go, they said, yes, Crew Dragon.
घर पे भी दिवाली है, घर पे भी दिवाली है। तो शुभांशु की माँ है ये, और जो हमसे बात कर रही थी, जाहिर है जाते और आते वक्त डर लग रहा था, लेकिन अभी खुशी है। और गगनयान मिशन भी जब होगा तब की तब देखी जाएगी, लेकिन फिलहाल इस बात की खुशी है कि बेटा सुरक्षित वापस धरती पर लौट गया। लखनऊ से कैमरा पर्सन राजेश गुप्ता के साथ रणवीर, NDTV इंडिया।
And so it's a bit of a process. What happens now is that these two boats attach the Crew Dragon and then tow it to the mothership. Let's go across to Pallav Bagla, who tells us what happens here.
Well, what has happened is that the Crew Dragon has been cleared, that there are no explosive leaks from its thrusters. And now the ship, which is MV Shannon, motor vessel Shannon, which is SpaceX ship which will recover the Crew Dragon, is going to be approaching the Crew Dragon, and then using a hydraulic lift, it will lift up the Crew Dragon along with the crew inside and then bring them onto the deck of the ship. And after a little while, the astronauts, 4 of them, would emerge from the Grace Crew Dragon. So what we saw was an amazing moment when India's second astronaut to space, Gaganyaan Group Captain Shukla, came back to Earth after his historic 18-day mission to the International Space Station. So he's currently bobbing up and down in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego, and very soon he will be hoisted up to the ship, and then using a helicopter, they would take the crew onto the land and from there on to Houston for his rehabilitation and debriefing. So Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla has created history for India by becoming the second Indian to go to space and come back safely. He did close to 60 experiments along with the Hungarian, American and the Polish astronauts. 7 of them were India-specific experiments. There was also some outreach activities with school students, including his alma mater, which is the City Montessori School of Lucknow. And he also participated in a conversation with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, where he described India as being bhavya. He also did some onboard outreach in the ham radios, and also participated in a zero-gravity experimentation project for outreach. So Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, who's really part of India's Gaganyaan program, the easy part of Gaganyaan, the first firm steps have been laid. This was a trip which was taken on Falcon 9.
Shall we just listen in to what's happening over here?
Yes.
flying for a second time on a Dragon spacecraft. At SpaceX, we're trying to make these vehicles reusable, just like aircraft when you fly and fly over again multiple times a day. And we're getting closer and closer to that with the same crew members flying again, which is awesome.
And it's important to note, right, that kind of mission-to-mission lineage, right, allows crew members like Peggy Whitson, like Michael Lopez Alegria, to better help inform the next crews that are coming with them, right? The more familiarity that you get with the vehicle, the better equipped you are on your mission. And I, as a personal Peggy super fan, I cannot imagine a more fitting astronaut to be able to give a name to a new vehicle. I love the messaging behind why they chose to name it Grace. And to your point, Jesse, about the frequent flyers, I loved that during launch we could see I don't know if it's a new tradition potentially, but we got to see some boarding passes that SpaceX provided to the AX4 crew, and because of her frequent flyer status, Peggy Whitson got a gold boarding pass, and I absolutely adore that she was able to have that distinction.
Yes, just add it to her resume.
Yeah, you can add it to her resume. SpaceX frequent flyer.
Yeah, I love the boarding passes. Again, always trying to make it as common as aircraft, planes that we fly on every single day.
Exactly.
And we're still just in the beginning, but I feel like we've made a lot of progress in the last 5 years, and we still have a lot of new things, new missions, and improvements that we want to make to, future spacecraft and launch vehicles. So I'm excited for the future. I really do believe that we could get to
right now is the Crew Dragon being towed back to the MV Shannon. That's the mothership. It's sort of being guided back over there. It's going to be lifted onto the deck of the Shannon, and it's over there that you'll see Shubhanshu Shukla and the others emerge from the spaceship. It's not going to be easy. They aren't going to be running out. There's a change in gravity. It feels very different. Getting their full muscle mass back into regular sync is going to take a little period of time. So that's a bit of a process as well. Pallav, I think that's something our viewers need to know, that you don't just sort of run out of the
No, you don't. He's been in space at the International Space Station for 18 days, 21 flight days. So while the muscle mass loss would be lower than compared to the long duration missions which NASA and Russian astronauts do, but yes, there is difficulty in walking when you come out from near zero gravity or microgravity. So we will see Group Captain Shukla and the 3 astronauts being assisted. In fact, Commander Peggy Whitson has said while she goes into space and experiences microgravity, she doesn't face any problems. While she comes back on Earth with gravity in store, she faces a lot of problems. And Group Captain Shukla also mentioned from the International Space Station that when he went up, he faced space sickness. So he says, hopefully, he will not face space sickness because of gravity when he comes out of the Grace capsule. Right now, the Grace capsule is being slowly brought close to the MV Shannon. There's a hydraulic lift which will lift it, and we can see the nest on which the Grace capsule is going to be placed. The Grace capsule is being used for the very first time. It's a maiden flight for this particular spaceship which has been made by SpaceX, and this is the last of the Grace of the capsules which SpaceX has made. There were 5 to be made. They have made 5.
And these are all reusable, right?
Yes. The Grace capsule is reusable, and it will be used for further flights as well. Initially, there was some concern that it's a maiden flight for Grace, but then Commander Peggy Whitson put everything at ease, saying they are comfortable with flying with a new vehicle. And now we've seen the new vehicle has performed excellently. Remember, it was the rocket which was creating problems when the flight was going up. but the Grace capsule has performed excellently, and we are seeing the Grace capsule slowly being brought close to motor vessel MV Shannon, and then it will be lifted up, and then the Grace capsule is brought closer inside to place where there is a stand from which, after the hatch is opened, the side hatch was closed on June 25th when the astronauts entered the capsule, and it will be opened now for the first time after the flight is over. And then we will see the 4 astronauts coming out one by one. It is going to be a historic moment for us to witness.
All right, Pallab, just hold on for half a second. We're joined by Air Vice Marshal Deepak Gaur and also Dr. Apurva Jakhadi, space educator and advisor to the Yashwantrao Chavan Planetarium in Nashik. Dr. Jakhadi, this moment for you, what does it mean?
It's a remarkable moment for all of us. For me, particularly as an educator, I see Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla. We just witnessed his safe return to Earth, and it means a lot for us, particularly for the young professional space professionals who are looking at Shubhanshu Shukla as a role model. And this Crew Dragon re-entry, the moment it entered the Earth's atmosphere, and from there to Splashdown, these moments were extremely exciting. And looking at the safety point of view, when we look at the safety of all these astronauts, this means a lot for all of us.
Okay. Air Marshal Gaur, could you tell us, some of the challenges that Group Captain Shukla might face, adjusting to gravity?
Yes, thank you, Vishnu, for sharing these wonderful videos of the splashdown and what we are seeing now. So when he's been exposed to zero gravity for these 17 or 18 days now, very soon this leads to what we call decompensation of the cardiovascular as well as the neurovestibular system. So when he comes back into 1G, and now as he slides down from this capsule and comes out, there will be a sense of imbalance and maybe a re-entry sickness. For this, they've already been on preventive medication before they undocked. They've been taking Phenergan or promethazine tablets or suppositories. They have been taking salt capsules to build up their blood volume so that all these troubles are minimized once they are back to Earth and in one gravity. Nevertheless, these internal ears or vestibular apparatus, we have these otolith organs which are dependent upon gravity. And now they've got disuse, so to say, in space, and it will take a while for them to adapt.
Pallab?
Air Vice Marshal Gaur, a very happy moment for you because you were part of the team which selected Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla as an astronaut designate for the Gaganyaan program. To see him back on Earth, you must be a very happy man, sir.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Pallab Bagla. I'm almost as excited as you. Thank you.
What was it about Shubhanshu Shukla that made you believe that he was best suited for a mission like this?
So yes, I had a detailed talk with our aviation psychologists and other doctors who were in the selection program for the final word as to who goes to this Axiom mission. And what I learn is that the ability to adapt from the military bearing to a more sort of acceptable astronaut kind of traits were best in Shubhanshu. His ability to be at peace with himself, to be confident, and most importantly, to mix very well with the people, I thought played the greatest role in his being the number one for this selection.
All right, we're going to go back to live commentary for just a few moments now. Let's listen into what's happening. That is the Crew Dragon spacecraft. It's been hoisted up onto the MV Shannon, the mothership. And in a few moments from now, we expect Shubhanshu Shukla to emerge.
Dragon copies.
Dragon SpaceX, capsule lift in progress, brace.
All right, Good verbal confirmations there and visual confirmations that we're getting a successful lift.
Dragon copies.
And again, those comms, crew can't see what's happening outside of the spacecraft, so letting the crew know what's happening so they understand, the vehicle moving, what those different feelings are with the spacecraft moving around.
Trying to give crew some level of situational awareness of where they are and where they're going next. So Dragon will remain in the nest during the crew extraction and for the journey back into port. The spacecraft is currently was just lifted, as you saw, and set on the nest. And from here, it'll be centered and oriented. And then from there, Dragon will be translated into the hangar underneath the helipad aboard the ship so that we can then open the hatch. And once open, a SpaceX medical doctor will be the first one in to check on the crew to see if they are ready to egress out of the vehicle. And as we noted earlier, Axiom medical teams are also on the recovery vessel working in tandem with SpaceX staff to assess and assist the crew.
The astronauts will egress, or what we call exit, from Dragon's side hatch, pending spacecraft orientation in the water. Before opening the hatch, the spacecraft's cabin pressure must be equalized with the outside environment. Now, once the hatch is opened, that will be the Axiom 4 crew's first breath of fresh air since boarding Falcon 9 at the start of their mission on June 25th.
And that will be an exciting moment for the crew, I know. But for the crew and also for the ground crews, getting that first confirmation of your crew exiting the spacecraft, getting good medical checks, and then coming out and giving a thumbs up is something everybody wants to be able to see, and we'll be able to see it soon.
Yeah. And it looks like the spacecraft is nestled into the nest.
Dragon, SpaceX, welcome aboard the recovery ship. Apology for the delayed call earlier. We are still working to transition the forward link. Recovery personnel are completing their final checks, and I will let you know when we are ready for translation across the deck to the Egress platform.
Across to Richard Tibor, a senior journalist with the Orlando Sentinel, who joins us. Richard, thanks very much for being with us. So the Crew Dragon safely on board, the mothership as it were. What happens from here onwards?
Well, from splashdown to when they finally exit the vehicle, for the last few times has taken less than an hour. So what you will see is SpaceX medical personnel helping crew out of the capsule, and then they'll wave to the camera and perhaps give a thumbs up. They will stand on their own without the help and be shuttled off for a medical check on board the ship. Eventually, they will hop aboard a helicopter and be transported back to land. And then eventually, everyone will make their way to their homes, India, Hungary, Poland, and for Peggy staying in the United States.
Hour or so, this entire process from here onwards?
I'm sorry?
Is it about an hour or so from here onwards by the time they're cleared medically and they actually get out?
You're going to see people out of that probably in the next 25 minutes.
Right.
They will be completely one at a time. Usually the mission specialists on the sides will exit first and the pilot and commander exit second, but that has shifted up on occasion, depending if anybody had a rough ride coming down. But
and in your experience and having covered this, do astronauts sometimes have a rough ride?
The ones that are up there for a long period they don't have a rough ride on the splashdown. They just have a hard time dealing with Earth's gravity, having spent so long. But this, having been only about 20 days in space, 18 on the station, I don't expect they'll have much of a physical problem getting out of the capsule.
And Richard, this is a fantastic capsule itself. My colleague Pallav, who's with me in the studio, and I were just talking about how it was glistening white at the time of blast off, but now it looks pretty awful, but that's because it's worked. It's protected the crew inside, and it's fairly remarkable technology because despite the intense heat that it's been through in the re-entry process, it will be reused.
That's correct. They have certified these capsules to now fly for a fifth time. One of its sister capsules is slated to launch from Kennedy Space Center as early as July 31st, and that'll be a record 5th time. That is the first of the 5 capsules in the fleet making a record flight. And this one is going to have probably its next flight, perhaps before the end of the year, but certainly by next spring.
And that, Richard, is remarkable, isn't it? Because it's not just cost saving, it's not just saving a lot of funds because you have reusable craft, but just being in that situation which we as kids dreamt about, reusable spaceships. It is now a reality, and SpaceX has made that happen, and this is very much the future of what space exploration will be all about, because economically to have spaceships which are one-time use only, it was unfeasible.
Yeah, this is a great economic benefit for the company, but also useful to the nations who take advantage of it. And SpaceX isn't alone. If Boeing can get their act together and have a Starliner up and running, that would provide a feasible future, not just for visits to the International Space Station, which will continue through 2030, but potentially multiple private commercial space stations. And they're going to need as many capable spacecraft as possible to bring all of the astronauts from all the nations up to those stations.
All right, Richard, great speaking to you. Thanks so much for being with us and sharing your thoughts. For us over here in India, it is absolutely incredible to be watching this, to see just the second Indian astronaut in orbit be back on Earth, and it comes a couple of years before our own manned mission, the Gaganyaan mission, blasts off. But this is a great experience for one of the astronauts on the Gaganyaan program. Pallav, any thoughts?
Oh, certainly. This is the first firm footsteps for India's Gaganyaan mission. Now, Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla has trained in Russia, in Europe, and then with NASA and with Axiom, flew on the Falcon 9 to the International Space Station, has come back safely to Earth. Now, really, the hard work for Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla will begin now. He has to come back. Like he told Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he is acting like a sponge, taking in all what is required so that he can translate that knowledge to the Indian Space Research Organization and its scientists and engineers for India's own human space program. The big journey for India's human space program has begun with this first baby step on the Axiom 4 mission, or which I call sometimes mission Akash Ganga. Beyond this, India expects to have its own human space program to launch an Indian rocket from Indian soil to space by about 2027. And we already have 4 astronaut designates for that. And now we should say 1 astronaut and 3 astronaut designates, because Group Captain Shukla is now a full-fledged astronaut. And then Prime Minister Narendra Modi has already given a roadmap for the Indian Space Research Organization to have an Indian space station, or the Bharatiya Antariksh Station, by 2035, and then the ambitious task of landing an Indian on the moon by 2040. But in between, India has already signed the Artemis Accords along with America, so there could be more possibilities of Indians going to space as part of the NASA-ISRO initiative.
Right.
This is the first time where NASA and ISRO have participated very, very actively. Or what we can see now is the Crew Dragon being brought closer onto the place from where the astronauts will come out onto the stand. So we can see.
Let's just listen into the commentary for a second, Pallav.
Washing down the hatch area, again, just preparing for the vehicle's side hatch to be opened, getting some of that salt water off, maybe some of that plasma from reentry off.
Right, all nominal processes to ensure that that crew can safely egress the vehicle, but also that ground personnel are safely protected while handling the spacecraft and crew as well. So at this point, we can see SpaceX personnel positioning themselves to support in this, as well as the spacecraft making final approaches to that upper landing pad for crew to egress the vehicle.
All right, so just in a few minutes from now, perhaps
freshwater
a few moments,
washdown of the hatch
we should be
area.
able to see the hatch opening and a first glimpse of Shubhanshu Shukla ultimately. But the hatch opening, absolutely critical. Let's take a look.
For those with a keen eye as well, you could see on the side of Grace, as it was making its approach towards the upper landing, the Axiom logo proudly displayed on the spacecraft. We had some great shots during the docking footage of SpaceX, Axiom, making a beautiful image of the vehicle docked to the International Space Station. It's a little worn.
A little toasty.
A little toasty.
A little toasty.
All part of nominal ops, though.
3,500 degrees Fahrenheit will do that.
Dragon, SpaceX, standby for side hatch opening and egress of some smiling faces.
Here we go.
All right, we're looking forward to it.
They are just about to open that side hatch. And again, first person that'll greet the crew will be the medical officer.
The hatch is open, and ground crews are making first contact with the Axiom 4 crew.
And you see that square-looking tool. That's just a protector for the hatch seal for while the crew egresses. This is a reusable vehicle, so we are protecting both the crew as well as the spacecraft, making sure there's no damage that happens and that the crew doesn't bump their head on anything on the spacecraft.
Again, once for the benefit of our viewers, Shubhanshu Shukla back on Earth, the Crew Dragon spacecraft, now capsule safely on board the mothership. It was towed to the mothership. It's been mounted on the ship, and the crew are set to emerge anytime now. The side access door has been opened. A doctor has gone on board. I presume they'd be in the process of unstrapping the crew now, and then slowly with some assistance, because remember they've been in space, getting used to gravity takes some time, they will slowly start to emerge. Let's just listen in.
Moment, the first breath of fresh air for Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, who went into space on June 25th, and now today at 3:40 p.m. India time, he's had his first breath of fresh air back on Earth. The medical officer has come out of the hatch, and we should soon see a ramp being put on the Crew Dragon, and the first images, the first photographers are going inside to take the images of the...
Looks like we're getting, the crew's getting some first photos.
Yeah. It's a good sign that they had good initial comms with medical personnel So this time we are now just, if you're just joining us, we're waiting for the AX-4 crew to egress or exit the Dragon spacecraft, also known as Grace, as part of the conclusion of their more than 20-day mission to the International Space Station.
You can see the crew is handing some of their cargo. That looks like their tablets that they use throughout their mission.
Making it a little easier for crew to make their way out of the spacecraft as well.
We'll see the crew starting to come out. We've got a cameraman there blocking the shot, but he will move out as we see the crew coming out. And then there will be further medical examinations, and then they're going to be put onto a helicopter and then back to the United
States. They just removed the footrests.
Right-hand side, the family are waiting these final moments. We saw Shubhanshu Shukla. This is from Shubhanshu Shukla's school in Lucknow. All right, the first images from inside. Let's take a look.
Views of the AX-4 crew.
Yes.
In their spacecraft.
I already saw some big smiles, as we've all been saying.
As we wait for the AX-4 crew to egress the vehicle, you can see ground crew is still putting in aspects of I'm not going to call it rigging, but hardware to help the crew get out of the spacecraft more easily. Reminder that they've been in microgravity for a little over 20 days, and occasionally your first few steps back on Earth can be slightly challenging.
It's a little different in microgravity than dealing with the gravity here on Earth.
Now that these are night vision cameras, which are actually on, it's about 3 a.m. in the morning now?
Yes, it's close to 3 a.m.
It's close to 3 a.m. Off the coast of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean. And so it's not daytime by any means. It's the middle of the night, but the SpaceX crew quite active at this stage as the crew members are unstrapped and get set to come out. It's a very slow process, a very comprehensive one. They have been medically examined. There'll be more medical examinations. They then get onto a helicopter and they fly stateside. So that's what the plan roughly is as we wait for them to emerge, which should take place as soon as they're completely unstrapped. And with some assistance,
just now joining us, we are waiting for the AX-4 crew to exit
Vishnu, we did
the
see
Dragon
image
spacecraft.
Of Group Captain
Grace.
Shukla, and he had a smile on his face. After the medical personnel came out, we saw a brief image of Group Captain Shukla, and he had a smile on his face, which was nice.
Axiom Mission 4. After 20 days in space, 18 on board the International Space Station. 18 days.
Now, this wraps up a very significant portion of the mission, but it's not entirely over. We still have a few medical checks to go. And then in addition to that, the AX-4, all the research done on the AX-4 mission is all going to be in a world of post-processing, analysis, assessment, and that's all part of it, as well as crew debriefs. So, following after crew egresses the spacecraft and gets good medical checks, at that point we'll be getting the crew back home and then continuing the final, we'll call it terrestrial-based operations of the
That's
AX-4
right.
mission.
I guess it's more of the end of the space-facing portion of the mission.
Operational phase. Right. We're still going to take our time to get there. You can see ground crews are still working with the crew members in hardware inside. They've established some ground support equipment to help in the aid of the AX-4 crew getting out of the spacecraft.
And some of their aids are not too complex. That white platform that you see there is essentially a slide.
Yeah. But an important one.
A very important slide.
But in addition to that slide, we do have, there's a complex tool that you mentioned earlier, Jesse, about protecting the seals. We can see now crew looking to make, the first crew members looking to make their egress from spacecraft along that slide.
Sliding out.
And there she is. We see Commander Peggy Whitson, all smiles, exiting the spacecraft Grace. That is a beautiful sight. Peggy Whitson, the AX-4 commander, is home, having logged 695 days in space on 5 flights. She is the 7th on the all-time list for most days in space by a human. It's an incredible feat.
Legendary.
All right, so Shubhanshu Shukla should be up next.
We've had Commander Peggy Whitson exit the Dragon spacecraft. We are waiting for the remaining 3 crew members of the AX-4 crew. There's no real order to the egress. It's really up to the crew. So we're patiently waiting to see who's up next.
Right. If Peggy is in the indication, which I think she is for this particular crew, we'll see another big smile coming out of the Dragon spacecraft in a moment.
There he is, Shubhanshu
And we've
Shukla.
got our pilot, Shubhanshu Shukla, as our second crew member exiting the spacecraft. And some big smiles, as you said. India reached a major milestone for the nation's space exploration goals. AX-4 pilot Shubhanshu Shukla became the first astronaut to fly from the country's newly established astronaut corps. His participation marks a vital step forward for ISRO's Gaganyaan program, which aims to send Indian astronauts into space aboard domestically developed spacecraft. Shukla's flight demonstrates India's readiness to execute international missions and reflects the country's broader ambitions to become a key player in the global space community. As India continues to expand its capabilities in crewed spaceflight, this mission serves as both a proving ground and a symbol of its commitment to innovation, collaboration, and leadership in space exploration.
हाँ सावन का महीना है भोलेनाथ जी की कृपा है अरे नहीं अच्छा अच्छा लग रहा है बेटा जो है बेटा वापस चला आया है तो ये भावुक पल है भाई उसका जो है बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है। इस समय जो है हम लोग बच्चे को देखकर बहुत खुश हैं।
कैसी रही सर? 18 दिन रहे वहाँ पर।
अच्छी रही यात्रा, अच्छी रही जैसा कि हाँ बात होती थी और
लगता था आपको कि अंतरिक्ष से बात हो रही है?
अब मंत्री से बात कर लेता था, थोड़ा हल्का लगता था।
यही पल तो था जिसके लिए जी रहे थे।
उसका मिशन पूरा हुआ। ईश्वर को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद और सभी देशवासियों का आभार प्रकट करते हैं।
से मिलने के लिए
नहीं बिल्कुल बहुत अच्छा लगा, बहुत
मिलना कब होगा?
अब मिलना 15 दिन लग जाएंगे।
तो काफी उनका इंतजार है, किस तरीके से स्वागत की तैयारी है?
नहीं बहुत भव्य स्वागत करेंगे हम लोग, जो है बिल्कुल एंजॉय करेंगे, पार्टी करेंगे, पूरा बैंड बाजे के साथ स्वागत करेंगे। जो कुछ होगा बहुत अच्छे तरह स्वागत करेंगे।
जी शुभांशु की सकुशल वापसी हो गई, क्या कहेंगे?
भगवान का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद है कि वो कुशल मंगल वापस आ गए हैं।
हम लोग के लिए बहुत गर्व का पल है।
There is Slawosz Uznanski-Wisniewski of Poland.
बस अब मिलने की मुलाकात है, अभी तक जो है आने की वो थी, अब मिलने की अपेक्षा है। बस जितनी जल्दी मिलेंगे उतनी जल्दी मिलेंगे हमसे।
जब वो आ रहे थे, लैंड हो रहे थे, उस टाइम में काफी प्रार्थना कर रहे थे मन ही मन में, क्या कुछ?
ये तो अब ईश्वर से प्रार्थना करते हैं कि वही सब कुछ ले आवे, यही हमारे लिए। ये देखो
शुभांशु के पिताजी तुम्हारे साथ है सर, जिस तरीके से हाथों में
Being on long-duration missions, but also for enabling safe and sustainable exploration beyond low Earth orbit. The Ignis mission reflects Poland's strategic investment in cutting-edge science and its ambition to contribute meaningfully to the future of deep space travel. It also signals a broader shift in Europe's space landscape, where emerging space nations are taking on increasingly vital roles in shaping the next era of exploration. And based on that smile, I'd say Slav felt like he had a very successful mission.
Three of 4 crew members have exited the Dragon spacecraft. We're now just waiting for the final crew member, Tibor, to exit the spacecraft here. And last but not least, mission specialist Tibor Kapu. Hungary marked a significant milestone in its space ambitions with the AX4 mission as astronaut Tibor Kapu became the first Hungarian to reach the International Space Station, and all smiles from him there. His participation under the banner of the Hunor Hungarian to Orbit program represents Hungary's commitment to advancing its role in international space exploration. This mission signifies the country's return to human spaceflight after decades and highlights its strategic investment in science, technology, and innovation.
And Jesse, it was wonderful seeing Tibor's smiles and waves and high fives. You knew how important this mission was to the crew as they were prepping for it and throughout the mission, and seeing them be able to egress with the same smiles that they went into the capsule with, or into the spacecraft with. Well, At this point, the crew is now safely back home on Earth.
Yeah. Now that
all right, all 4 crew members have emerged from that capsule and they are now back on Earth. That marks the end of and a very successful end of the entire space mission. Those are first visuals of Shubhanshu Shukla or Shuks back on Earth. He's made a splash, all crew members out of the Dragon capsule. Now, the next phase will be about the lessons, the learnings from their mission, the 18-day mission at the International Space Station where they conducted those 60-odd experiments. But viewers tuning in right now to NDTV, on your screens right now are the latest visuals coming in of Shubhanshu Shukla, India's space hero, back on Earth after concluding a very successful space mission. 18 days is the time that he and 3 of his other international co-members of the mission spent on the International Space Station. And now from orbit to ocean, safe return of Shubhanshu Shukla and 3 others as far as this mission is concerned. And rightfully, NDTV here is saying welcome back to Shubhanshu Shukla, a man who's set to now steer India towards next phase of its space mission, space program. A lot in the pipeline, likely to get a fresh fillip with Shubhanshu Shukla's journey into the International Space Station that has just concluded. And on your screens are those live visuals of all 4 members returning safely to Earth. This was a very carefully planned, minute and detailed mission, last end of it, which was the return to Earth, and that has happened with complete perfection and completely on time. And Axiom was a riveting re-entry and return is a big story on NDTV that we are getting for you viewers. The re-entry mode that we have been telling our viewers for the last 2 hours is a very intricate process and extremely challenging as well, and all went to near perfection that happened, and which is what we've been talking about. Now, what happens next? The next 7 odd days is when the astronauts, all 4 of them, will be under some rehabilitation process, coming back to the conditions on Earth. That's again a very detailed process. Remember, they were all in space for 18 days. Now they will be brought back into the conditions for Earth, which will require a certain rehabilitation, and that is about a 7 to 8 day process, again minutely executed and detailed for all astronauts to be able to physically come back in terms of aligning to the Earth's conditions. So that's the next phase of it. On your screens, on the left hand side are the visuals from the Splashdown, and then of course the all crew members coming out of the Dragon capsule. And on the other hand is the visuals coming in from Lucknow, where Shubhanshu Shukla's family, parents, sister, wife, all of them celebrating the successful return of Shubhanshu Shukla back on Earth. So those are live visuals on both ends that you are seeing, viewers. If you're tuning in right now, this is the big story that we have been getting you for the last over a fortnight. Shubhanshu Shukla scripting space history. He became the first Indian since Rakesh Sharma in the last 41 years to go to space. He was the first Indian to go to the International Space Station. One along with a total of 4 crew members went. He, along with 3 other international astronauts led by American Commander Peggy Whitson, and now they've all safely returned, spending 18 days, 3 days extra due to the weather conditions that delayed their return journey. And during this time, Shubhanshu Shukla conducted key experiments, and that is going to be critical for India's space journey from here on. And that's the big story, India's big cosmic leap as Shubhanshu Shukla returns back on Earth. All right, viewers, let's quickly Let's quickly play out this conversation that NDTV had with Shubhanshu Shukla's parents, who are celebrating there after that near perfect touchdown, that splashdown. Listen in.
बेटे का नाम तो इतिहास में दर्ज हो गया। राकेश शर्मा जी को हम लोग किताबों में पढ़ते थे, हमारे बाद की पीढ़ियां शुभांशु को किताबों में पढ़ेंगी। ये एक कितना बड़ा, कितना भावुक पल है आपके?
ये बहुत भावुक कर देने वाला पल है। बहुत बड़ा दिन है हमारे लिए। हमारे बच्चे की वजह से इतना गर्व का पल हमको महसूस हो रहा है कि उसको हम शब्दों में नहीं बयान कर सकते। बहुत ज़्यादा गौरव का पल है हमारे लिए, बहुत ज़्यादा।
जब यहाँ से टेक ऑफ हो रहा था, जब डॉकिंग हो रही थी, तब भी हमने आपसे बात की थी। आपने कहा डर नहीं लग रहा है, लेकिन जब डॉकिंग का टाइम था तब आप पूरा परिवार बहुत
All right, we could connect and get Sanjay Lakshmi Narayanan, who's a researcher and development engineer, to talk more about what this means, the significance of this milestone that Shubhanshu Shukla has achieved, that India has achieved. And Mr. Narayan, let me then bring you in on the importance of this milestone. The splashdown is complete. All 4 astronauts have now stepped out of the Dragon capsule. Everything has gone picture perfect in terms of its execution. Your thoughts on the milestone that India and Indian space has achieved today?
It's actually very significant given the fact that he was there for 18 days. He collaborated to conduct experiments, like 60 experiments, and he was able to speak to a lot of audience, a wide audience, not only just the Prime Minister, but also interact with the students, the bright young minds who will one day become aerospace engineers and want to go to space. So all of this is an exceptional achievement for me, and it's incredible.
It is an extremely important milestone, something that really sets the trajectory for India's space program from here on. And it's also important to tell our viewers the next immediate steps for Shubhanshu Shukla and 3 of his other co-astronauts, because as I said, there's a certain rehabilitation program that has to take place. And I'm going to get in Pallava Bagla to talk more on that and detail for our viewers the next steps from here on. But before that, Mr. Narayanan, now the immediate steps from here in terms of the lessons and learnings that those experiments that Shubhanshu Shukla carried out for India from here on, how significant would they be from here on?
So I think the first thing is that they will probably go and get used to gravity on Earth. I think they already had some sort of exercise routine on board the space station, which every astronaut does, so that when they return back to Earth, they're easily, back to normal life. But otherwise, the experiments, especially the ones I've been following, is the one that he conducted on diabetes, insulin properties, and stem cell research that was conducted during this mission. So that's going to be very interesting, because in future, today you need to be physically fit. You have to undergo some training to go to space. Tomorrow, if a diabetic patient wants to go to space, for instance, the research is going to give us the findings, whether it is going to be possible, or how insulin is going to work in space.
Yes.
And then stem cells, it's been a promising research in medical science for treating various patients and regrowing organs, and so it's also going to be exceptional. And the cancer research that they've also done.
And we're going to take that in detail.
For long stays.
Sajay, we're going to take that step by step. And I'm going to get in Pallava as well. But let's first get in Ranveer also, who's joining us live from that exact spot, viewers, where you're getting these live visuals from, where the family is celebrating along with 1 billion Indians. Ranveer, you've been speaking to the family. They have reason to be jubilant and also grateful for this day, for this momentous occasion.
obviously I saw a mixture of excitement as well as fear and happiness. At the same time, when the family was sitting here, they were continuously seeing on that screen, which is here, and I'm seeing the family is interacting with the media. So a mixture of fear and excitement and happiness when the landing was done, and now obviously the family is very much happy. They are going to celebrate it the evening. The father said that he was in temple praying to God for a safe recovery, for a safe landing. Mother was also feared about the landing, but after the landing, she shown confidence and she is now excited for another journey in 2027 when Shubhanshu is expected to visit in the space during Gaganyaan mission. So the family is now obviously they are relaxed because Shubhanshu has made a history. He is the first one from India who has reached the International Space Station, and obviously from a very normal family, Shubhanshu has done an exceptional job. So the family is very much excited, very much happy, and they are now keen to meet Shubhanshu, but they have to wait for some another days, probably a month or more, because Shubhanshu will be in isolation for next 7 or 8 days, and after that due to some technical reasons they are not able to meet Shubhanshu, but obviously they are very keen, they are excited to meet him, to hug him. And when I was talking to his sister Shuchi, she said that obviously that moment when the capsule was reaching land, she was feared, but the emotion was not explainable. But obviously the family is now very much relaxed and now waiting for the moment when Shubhanshu will reach home, and they will celebrate that moment also.
Ranveer, stay with me because I want to rope in Pallava here in terms of the next steps, and then I come back to you, Ranveer, which is, Pallava, talk to us about the next steps from here on. They now, of course, have to be acclimatized with gravity being one. What is the next steps from here on for the astronauts for the next 2 to 3 weeks as they acclimatize to Earth?
Well, a very happy moment for India. India's second astronaut is back on Earth, still floating in the Pacific Ocean. He will now be taken from the ship to land somewhere in San Diego, and from there onward to Houston, where there would be a detailed debriefing and a detailed medical examination. Group Captain Shukla looked happy. He waved, he walked out. So he seems to have braced both microgravity and gravity like a test fighter pilot who's a test pilot would. So Group Captain Shukla has created history, and India's Science Minister Dr. Jiten Singh had given a small little briefing, and it seems that Group Captain Shukla will probably come to Earth or come to India around Independence Day. So we will see major celebrations around that time when Group Captain Shukla comes back to India after his first sojourn in space and then getting debriefed at the Axiom facilities, both by NASA officials and by Axiom and ISRO, and then he will be back home. Right now, he must be adjusting to the microgravity conditions on Earth. He's still on the ship probably. We don't have any more live visual coverage after he came out of the Crew Dragon, and then he will get on with his life. But for him and for India, life is going to become more difficult here onwards. This was the first baby step for India's Gaganyaan program. It was a ride which was on a hired rocket, a hired Crew Dragon, well tested, but India's Gaganyaan, which is highly ambitious, will need a lot of what he has learnt, and all have to be translated to ISRO.
Stay with us. Okay, I believe Ranveer, but before I get in Ranveer, let's go back to Sanjay Lakshminarayan. Mr. Lakshminarayan, respond to what Pallava just said, that these are important steps, but they are still baby steps in terms of the kind of ambition that India has for its space program. Your thoughts?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I mean, because now Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla is the only person who knows how to fly a capsule. He's been to the space station. He knows how to dock, how the orbit is incrementally increased from the Earth's surface to the space station. And also, we are planning on our own space station, Bharatiya Antariksh Station. So building that and whole Bharatiya Antariksh Station cannot be launched at once. So it has to be assembled in space. And the experience that now he has got has to be transferred to a lot of other people who has to be trained with the same skill set. And then that needs to be further extended, to the challenges that they encounter further. So that is going to be incredibly most important thing. That is Shubhanshu Shukla training maybe another 10 or 15 astronauts, with the same skill sets that he has acquired in the last 20-25 days.
Yes. Palwa sir, you mentioned about the fact that this is early steps and early days in terms of what lies ahead. But as someone who tracks this, who tracks space probably the best in India and maybe globally, explain to us that from here on, the key milestones till Gaganyaan, that is next step for us. Decode that for us, because that's essentially the big ambition, isn't it?
Well, I just love what I do, and translating it to our audience is something which I love to do, both in English and Hindi. India has a very ambitious human space program. From now till 2027, when we are likely to send our first Indian to space from Sriharikota, the rocket, which is the launch vehicle Mark III, has already been human rated, meaning it is ready to take humans to space. It's the crew capsule which is taking much longer. The environment life control system is being developed by India on its own. Initially, we tried to buy it from outside. It was just too expensive. So we are developing that. There are hundreds of tests that need to be completed, of which there are 24 major tests that need to be completed before we can send an Indian to space from Sriharikota. But before we have that, there will be 2 uncrewed missions, meaning without humans, where we would send a robot, and we have a name for the robot, and the robot will be decked as a female. So she is a female robot, as Science Minister continues to say. Her name is Vyomitra. So this would be 2 uncrewed missions, and then we'll have a crewed mission going to space from India, which will carry 1 or 2 Indian astronauts for up to 3 days in space, or it could be 1 day. We still don't have a firm idea, but it could be 1 or 2. And there are 3 astronaut designates, and 1 astronaut we already have. 1 of them or 2 of them will fly. And then there is a very ambitious program to have the first Indian space station. We already have a small space lab which we fly off and on as part of the PSLV 4th stage, where scientists are able to do some experiments in microgravity, but to have a full-fledged Indian space station called Bharatiya Antariksh Station. First modules of that would fly in about 2028.
Okay.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has told ISRO, we can see the mother literally crying.
Absolutely, emotional.
These are tears of joy, I'm sure. She was very, very emotional. So this is, we can see the family going through a lot of emotions.
Absolutely, absolutely, sir. And in fact, we have Dr. Srimati Kesan as well. Dr. Kesan, I'm going to come to you in a bit, but I want to play out this important conversation that my colleague Shreya had with Dr. Jitendra Singh in terms of the momentous occasion today it is. Let's listen into that conversation that we get in Dr. Srimati Kesan after that.
So Shubhanshu Shukla will be back on the 17th of August in New Delhi. So what do you think about the next giant space mission from India? And when will we get the outcome of all the experiments, the 60 plus experiments that were explored?
No, I think the experiments are all, of course, they have just come back. But what is more important is all these experiments were indigenously designed, indigenously developed. Even the kits the material, the literature which was researched in order to create those kits was also done. And I'm glad that some of the institutions associated with this ministry, like for the Department of Biotechnology, and also thereafter IITs, Indian Institute of Sciences, Bengaluru. So this was whole of science and whole of nation. And yeah, absolutely. So on the one hand, there were life sciences, like study of muscles, which is called myogenesis. On the other hand, study of the human impact vis-a-vis constant or continuous use of electronic gadgets like watching electronic screens, etc. On the other hand, growing plants, seedlings in that microgravity milieu, even the crop seedlings, also testing the endurance of the living beings there in the extreme conditions. And these experiments are going to produce differences which are going to be of utility for the entire mankind. And that's why I have the confidence to say that when Prime Minister Modi envisages the concept of Vishwabandhu and calls upon us to prepare ourselves for that kind of role, today Shubhanshu has shown us the direction of moving in that way.
Absolutely, India is unstoppable. So what is the next step in India's space research?
No, see, the experiments done today, both technically, docking, undocking, stepping in, is going to add to our cumulative experience as far as our Gaganyaan is concerned, which is possibly going to happen in the first quarter of 2027. But more importantly, for the Bharat Service Station, Bharat International Space Station, which we envisage for 2030, because they're here. And before that, by around 2028, we are going to have Chandrayaan 4, which has series of docking and docks. There was 5 components going there, separating, uniting, while coming where there will be one left, just 20%. So this will give us a huge amount of confidence for the ultimate mission. And of course, an Indian on the surface of moon, maybe hopefully by 2040.
All right, that was Dr. Jitendra Singh explaining what lies ahead in terms of India's space roadmap. Dr. Srimati, let me rope you in. She's founder and CEO of Space Kids India. Your first thoughts on the successful completion of the mission and the significance of this milestone?
They have to say, you know, we have to have all the dance party here now. Well, apart from that now, this is such an incredible moment, I have to tell you, because every time, you know, now I'm seated here in Scotland, and until yesterday I had a couple of meetings in London. People were taken over. They were gaga. They thought, still we are the snake charmer's land. Still we don't know whether there was internet available in India. So many things people still perceive about India. And this is going to be such a historic thing that is going to be hitting the entire world, I have to tell you. And this is very, very important here. What I wanted to, let you know that this is not only a success of going to the international station and coming back. I look at it at in a massive macro scale, because we Indians are extremely a friendly and absolutely cultural friendly nation, where we invite a lot of smaller countries to be a part of our missions. And I think if our Gaganyaan mission is a success, you know, continuously people would love to go from Indian soil as vis-a-vis to the other, you know, countries, because they not only love coming to India, but if India is able to take them to the space, then what else can they ask for? Okay. So I think this is a huge step.
Dr. Srimati.
Yes, Palwaji.
I am also equally excited like you are to have Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla back on Earth. Like you are excited, I am equally excited. But you flew in microgravity conditions. What do you think Shubhanshu Shukla must be facing on microgravity when he has come back into gravity after 18 days at the International Space Station? You experienced it in that parabolic flight.
Yes, just for a day, and it was for a couple of hours. Thank you so much for reminding that always, Pallavaji, because that is such a close to my heart event, I have to tell you. So when I got back, it was a little difficult because even the breathing, it was fraction, it was only, I could feel about 1.5 to 2 G. That itself was too much. And, coming to gravity, I mean, to stand straight took a few minutes. I think for 18 to 18 days he spent in the International Space Station floating all through. I'm sure he's going to take a while to start feeling gravity and start walking. But, for the amount of training that he's undergone, the mental strength that he has, I'm sure this fighter is going to be all smiles, carrying those, inspiring the younger generation, I have to tell you.
Dr. Srimati, you work with school children and some of the most government school children. Do you think Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla is going to become a role model, and will we see young Shubhanshu Shuklas emerging from the schools where you train them about space?
Absolutely, Pallavaji, you just nailed it, and it's the right question that you had mentioned here. From the Azadi Sat, where 750 rural girl children had built that satellite for the 75th Indian independence. Today, we have at least about 10 of them, girls, weeing to be fighter pilots from those villages. They didn't even know the spelling or meaning of space and spacecrafts. Today they stand tall to say that we want to be fighter pilots.
Indeed.
So,
and I think that's the single biggest contribution of Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla. Okay,
he's going to be an icon.
Yes, indeed. I'm afraid I'll have to leave it there, Dr. Srimati and Pallava sir. Thank you so much for speaking to me and decoding as we continue NDTV's special broadcast, decoding every aspect of the significance of today. Viewers, a quick break. We return with some of the other stories. Stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
India's space hero Shubhanshu Shukla back on Earth. India's giant leap in space as history has been made. Boy is back home from space.
For a decade now, India has been on a mission to...
Well, in the latest episode of Control All Defense, we are talking about a platform that all of you want to hear about, that's Tejas. The big question, we do know it's a great platform, but is it of use for the Indian Air Force going into the future? How relevant will it remain?
But I'd like to start this off by asking you, Vishnu, what you think about the whole question of India not having stealth fighters right now.
It's a huge
Everyone's
problem.
trying to sell them to us as well.
It's a huge problem, Shiv. Let's face it, in as much as we love the Rafale aircraft and the Indian Air Force is completely vouching for it, perhaps they'd like more than 100 more. The Indian Navy has just gotten into an order for 26 Rafale M aircraft. There is a generation gap between the Rafale and the stealth. There is a good reason why a stealth platform is called a 5th generation aircraft and a Rafale is a 4th or 4.5 generation aircraft, and that is low observability. So in as much as the Rafale has brilliant sensors, both in terms of its radar, its defensive suite, its electronic warfare suite, its towed array decoy system, it is not typically a low observability platform in quite the same manner in which a stealth aircraft is. Its design form is different. And therefore, if Pakistan does have low observable aircraft, which would be the J-35, in fact, the first ones might even start entering service or coming into the PAF ahead of entering service at some time this year, then India is in trouble.
So
why?
This year? Wow.
Yeah. Okay. The first could actually start coming in this year. They're really pushing for it. And they've gotten apparently into some agreement with the Chinese to ensure that the funding is done on very loose and terms favorable to Pakistan, as has been in the case in the past. If Pakistan starts acquiring low platforms which are low observable, in other words, stealth platforms, then that's an additional headache for the Indian Air Force, because tracking stealth aircraft requires a certain specialization. It's much more difficult. The time that you have to actually engage a potential stealth target is reduced greatly, and therefore, it's a problem.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves.
And Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
कहना इस दीवार पे इतने इश्तहार चिपके हैं कि कोई दरार नजर नहीं आती। मैं उन लोगों में से जो कहता हूँ सारे इश्तहार फाड़ के फेंको, पहले दरार को एड्रेस करो।
ये दरार इसलिए क्योंकि कुछ लेफ्ट कुछ राइट पर हम उन मुद्दों में आप
Viewers, turning attention now to a shocker of a story coming to light from Bengaluru, where two college lecturers have been arrested by the police for allegedly raping a female student on multiple occasions and even blackmailing her. The accused have been identified as Narendra, a physics lecturer, and Sandeep, who's a biology lecturer, and their friend Anup. All three were working at a private college where the survivor was a student. Now, as per police complaint, Narendra first approached the student under the pretext of sharing academic notes and gradually built a friendship through constant messaging. Now, this sequence then led to exploitation of the girl. Now, what the entire case is all about, which is looking eerily similar to the shocker that came to light from Odisha. Let's get in my colleague Deepak Bopanna to know more about this. Deepak, it's looking eerily similar to that story that has come to light from Odisha. Why is it that young girls are praised when it comes to these sexual predators on campus?
Yes, and the police right now managing to swiftly crack this case, arrest all the three who are involved. They've been sent to judicial custody. Meanwhile, the State Women's Commission also was apprised of the situation, who've also asked the police, of course, to look at all angles here. Like you mentioned, the girl was exploited not by one lecturer, then by another because of blackmail and through other forms of coercion. There's another individual who is a friend of these two lecturers who is also said to have harassed her and exploited her. The police, of course, at this point in time say that the investigation on all aspects is going on, not just in this particular case, but to also ascertain if these perpetrators were involved in similar crimes with other students from that particular campus or any other college.
All right, I'm going to leave it there. Deepak Bopanna, my colleague, reporting on that story from Bengaluru. And the case looks eerily similar to the one in Odisha, and there now there's politics that's going on as far as the Odisha campus horror is concerned, where Rahul Gandhi has hit out at the BJP, saying murder by BJP's system. That is what Rahul Gandhi has said. He said that the BJP is shielding the accused. He's gone on to say it's not suicide but organized murder by this system. Rahul Gandhi is saying and making charges against the BJP, which has responded by saying this is politics being played over a very sensitive manner. And BJP has said this is not the time for politics, but to ensure justice takes place. Now, all this is happening on social media platform X, where Rahul Gandhi has come out with these charges. Let's get in my colleague Shreyasi Dey, who's reporting on this story for us. Now, Shreyasi, there's politics that is taking us over as far as this case is concerned, even as that focus on whether or not that young victim is going to get justice seems to have been completely sidestepped.
Well, there is a political firestorm in Odisha over this tragic incident. It's not even been hours that we have lost the victim. She was battling not just for justice, but also for her life. With over 90% burn injuries, she succumbed to her injuries this morning. Her mortal remains were brought to her home. The Odisha government has announced 20 lakh ex gratia to the family as aid, but her life could not be saved. And of course, there has been a systematic failure where the administration failed to pay heed to the complaints that she was making, and the complaints were against the HOD of the Education Department, who was seeking sexual favors in turn and threatening this student of dire consequences academically if she did not give in to those requests. And that complaint was raised to the principal earlier in June, but there was nothing done about it, and now we have lost that victim. She has passed away, but the political storm continues in Odisha while the family still awaits justice, the principal and the HOD behind bars. But the crime branch of the Odisha police continues its investigation to understand whether this is a standalone complaint, whether there were such instances also reported earlier. The internal committee that was set up by the college has also been quizzed by the panel that has been formed by the Odisha government. So the BJP really looking at deflecting all the heat upon it over this particular issue and the larger question of safety and security of women. And on the 17th of July, all the opposition parties have called for a bandh in Odisha to lodge their protest and intensify it against the BJP government. Back to you.
All right, Shreyasi, they're reporting on that shocker of a story from Odisha. And as she was pointing out, hours after her death, politics has now taken center stage over that horrific case. Turning attention from Odisha to Pune, where 14 months since the accident took place, justice is awaited by the families of the victims. 2 techies were killed in that accident. In the case, to remember, multiple arrests were made, including the juvenile's father. We are talking about the Pune Porsche case, where the father was a very influential developer and real estate, and the boy's mother was later arrested, but she was out on bail. She was arrested because she had swapped her blood sample with that of her juvenile son, who was caught drunk driving, and then those 2 techies lost their lives because of that. 14 months later, there is no headway in terms of are we closer to getting justice or not. My colleague Shivarur has spoken to the victim's father on the fact that the 17-year-old, who's not a 17-year-old, but the Juvenile Justice Board is not allowing him to be treated and to be convicted as an adult. No headway in the case so far. Trial is yet to begin. Let's get in that conversation that Shivarur had with the victims' fathers.
सुरेश जी, आपसे मैं शुरू करूंगा। आपको पता है कि जो न्यूज़ है आज वो ये है कि जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड ने खारिज कर दिया है वो याचिका कि वो जो गाड़ी चला रहा था उसको एक अडल्ट के रूप से उसको ट्राई किया जाए, लेकिन वो नहीं होगा। अब आपके मन में अभी क्या है सुरेश जी?
अब मेरे मन में सबसे पहले यही प्रश्न उठ रहा है कि मतलब जैसे शुरुआत में ही जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड की कार्य प्रणाली पर उंगलियां मैंने अकेले नहीं, पूरी देश ने, पूरी दुनिया में उठाई थी कि जो बालक ड्रिंक कर रहा है, फास्ट गाड़ी चला रहा है, उसको माइनर कैसे माना जा सकता है। और
21
जो इतने एक साल से भी ज़्यादा हो चुका है, अभी तक तो जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड के जो मेंबर थे उनकी जगह पर तो कोई आया नहीं था। जो जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड के जो 2 मेंबर को सरकार ने बर्खास्त किया था, उनकी जगह पर कोई नियुक्ति तो हुई नहीं थी। तो फिर 1 महीने के अंदर नियुक्ति भी हो गई, उसका असिस्टमेंट भी हो गया और उसकी कार्यप्रणाली का एनालिसिस भी हो गया कि उसको एडल्ट ट्रीट करना चाहिए या नहीं करना चाहिए, ये सब कुछ हो गया और 1 महीने के अंदर सारा डिसीजन हो गया। तो इनकी कार्यप्रणाली पर शंका तो फिर से उठेगी। तो मेरे हिसाब से तो एडल्ट ट्रीट करना ही नहीं चाहिए था और उसके कार्यप्रणाली को देख के ही जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड को कोई डिसीजन देना था।
ओम प्रकाश जी, आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे आज जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड के ये जो निर्णय से, आप क्या कहेंगे?
आपके द्वारा ही हमें पता चला है, अभी न्यूज जो आई है आपके द्वारा ही पता चला। इसमें तो हमें शुरू से ही ऐसी लग रहा है, जिस तरह से ढिलमुल रवैया रहा है जे बोर्ड का, उससे ही समझ आ रहा था कि इनके तरफ से तो यही मिलेगा। इनके तरफ से उम्मीद नहीं थी सर हमें। बाकी केंद्र गवर्नमेंट में इसमें नियम कानून में बदलाव करना चाहिए ताकि ये लोग जो किए हैं उसमें ये सब ना होता। बालिग का केस चलाने के लिए इनको निर्णय देना चाहिए था, लेकिन हो गया, आप कुछ कह नहीं सकते इसके लिए। अब क्या बोल सकते हैं सर?
क्या आपको लगता है ओम प्रकाश जी, क्या आपको लगता है कि अभी भी पैसों का खेल चल रहा है पुणे में? क्या आपको लगता है कि अभी भी जिन लोगों के पास शक्ति है इस केस को इन्फ्लुएंस करने के लिए, उनको पैसे खिलाया जा रहा है? क्या आपको लगता है ये सच है?
देखिए, हम सामने रह के हम देख नहीं रहे पैसे खिलाए जा रहे हैं नहीं, लेकिन दबाव पूरा बराबर है। सब तरह समझ में आ रहा है कि हम लोग तो उससे पुणे से काफी दूरी पे हैं। हम लोग को पता चल रहा है कि कहीं ना कहीं लोग खेल रहे होंगे, क्योंकि अभी न्यूज पे भी आया था कि कहीं दूसरे जगह ब्लड सैंपलिंग के बदलने के लिए दूसरे हॉस्पिटल में भी काफी दबाव दिया, काफी पैसे खिलाने के चक्कर में थे, लेकिन डॉक्टरों की वजह से नहीं कर पाए। तो समझ में तो आता है सर, हम दूर हैं और इनका पैसों का खेल, ये तो सभी लोगों जान रहे हैं कि पैसे खेल कितना चला है उधर पे। ऐसा ना होता सर, ये इतने बड़े आदमी, पूंजीपति आदमी है भाई, 3 करोड़ की गाड़ी लेकर बच्चा घूम रहा है, लाख रुपए वॉलेट में डलवा के चल रहा है। अब आप समझ सकते हैं 80-80 हजार रुपये शराब पार्टी कर रहा है, तो ये बताइए बालिग नहीं कहलाया तो नाबालिग। अब नाबालिग दे रही है तब न्यायपालिका है सर। अब न्यायपालिका कर रही है, हमारे साथ न्याय नहीं हो रहा था। हमें पता है कि हम लोग के साथ तो किसी तरह से न्याय नहीं हो रहा। हमारे बच्चे चले गए, लेकिन हम लोग के साथ कहीं पे न्याय नहीं हो रहा। हमारे बच्चों को न्याय कैसे मिलेगा बताइए? ये पैसों वाली पार्टी है, कुछ भी कर सकती है, बता सकते हैं आप।
सुरेश जी, अभी 1-2 हफ्ते पहले ये भी पता चल गया है कि ना सिर्फ सासुन हॉस्पिटल में ये खेल चल रहा था, लेकिन एक दूसरे हॉस्पिटल में भी ये खेल चल रहा था कि ब्लड सैंपल स्विच हो जाए, उस नाबालिग सो कॉल्ड नाबालिग को
ऐसा पता चला, ऐसा पता चला,
ये भी सामने आया है। आपको पता है ये सब?
हाँ, ये कहीं से न्यूज मिली थी कि खेल तो चला है, मगर उनने उस हॉस्पिटल ने मना कर दिया था कि यहाँ पे ये सब नहीं हो पाएगा। तो फिर वो ससुर हॉस्पिटल लेके कर गए हैं, क्योंकि ससुर हॉस्पिटल में उनका शायद जैक रहा होगा पहले से।
सुरेश जी,
इसीलिए सैंपल वगैरह जो है ना
14 महीने में अग्रवाल परिवार से कोई भी आपको संपर्क करने के लिए ट्राई किया है? किसी ने आपको कांटेक्ट किया है, ट्राई किया है कॉन्वर्सेशन के लिए, या कुछ भी नहीं? नहीं, हम ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ है। तो ये साल कैसे बीते हैं आपने? 14 महीने हो गए सर। ये केस तो चल रहा है स्टेट के साइड से, आपके लिए कैसा रहा है?
कैसे बीते सर, कैसे बीते वो तो मैं अब आपको बता नहीं सकता। यदि यहाँ पे कोई सीसीटीवी कैमरा वगैरह मेरे घर में होता तो मैं आपको पूरे रिकॉर्डिंग 14 महीने की रिकॉर्डिंग दिखा देता कि मैं एक पल कैसे मर के जी रहा हूँ।
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
India's space hero Shubhanshu Shukla back on Earth. India's giant leap in space as history has been made. Our boy is back home from space. Big relief for Kerala nurse Nimisha Priya, whose execution has been postponed. In the Pune Porsche case, accused to be tried as a juvenile, setback for the prosecution. In the Odisha horror case, student who self-immolates dies, no justice after harassment. The student is now dead. Rahul Gandhi says this is murder by BJP's system, as Dharmendra Pradhan responds saying cheap politics by Rahul Gandhi. Bihar law and order challenge, bank manager's body found in Patna. Nitish government under pressure ahead of elections.
कोई जरूरत तो उसको इंटरव्यू देने की।
गायकवाड़ साहब ऐसे मत कीजिए।
लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है, लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है।
किसने हक दिया आपको हाथ उठाने का?
अगर फिर से कोई ऐसी गलती करेगा तो मैं छोड़ूंगा नहीं।
सर आप लाइव हैं एनडीटीवी पर।
मैं सही बात कर रहा हूँ तो
आपकी जो आवाज है,
आप मेरी आवाज ब्रेक मत कीजिए, मेरा पूरा
सबने देखा है, सबने सुना है।
मैं तुम्हारी बात नहीं करूंगा। ये क्या पद्धति है? ये बात करते हैं तो मैं नहीं करूंगा बात इनसे।
गायकवाड़ साहब ऐसे मत कीजिए।
लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है, लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है।
He wants to throw punches, he wants to throw slaps, but he can't take normal questions.
Some say sport is a matter of life and death. The truth is, it is far more serious than that. Sport is about ecstasy and agony, about pain and suffering, about joy and much more. Some say there's no one better to tell these stories. So here I am. Join me, Boria Majumdar, on India's #1 news network.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है, जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज़ और देखती है यहाँ तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है, बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
Well, in the latest episode of Control All Defense, we are talking about a platform that all of you want to hear about, that's Tejas. The big question, we do know it's a great platform, but is it of use for the Indian Air Force going into the future? How relevant will it remain?
I'd like to start this off by asking you, Vishnu, what you think about the whole question of India not having stealth fighters right now.
It's a huge
Everyone's
problem.
trying to sell.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
Now, viewers, Tesla's long-awaited India debut has begun with a showroom launch today in Mumbai after years of negotiations, tariff hurdles, and several delays. Now, Tesla is making a bold move into India with its first ever experience center that's opened in Mumbai's Bandra complex. The store will showcase its popular Model Y with about 60 lakhs being the range. There are, of course, various variants that customers can choose from. It's largely the luxury EV market in India. And after the grand opening in Mumbai, the showroom will open in New Delhi very soon. And it's now important to talk about Musk's India plans, his India foray, and also the Musk-Modi dosti, so to say. What it means and how India plans of Elon Musk are likely to now shape up from here on. Let's put that out for you to understand in terms of today marks a key point, but the first of the many steps for Musk's India foray. First and foremost, there is an expectation that Elon Musk is likely to visit India sometime later this year. He met Prime Minister Modi early on in Washington, D.C., and it was expected that he will come to India and launch some of those big forays into India, and that's likely to happen possibly towards the later half of the year. Next, there is an expectation that whether it's incentives, whether it's tariff cuts, negotiations will happen probably at that level. Prime Minister Modi and Elon Musk have exchanged, as I said, discussions on potential incentives that can be given for electric vehicles. There's already an EV policy that India has, and now it comes down to what is that fine balance that both sides can have to be able to address their own strategic interests. Next that's likely to happen is Tesla showrooms are likely to open across India. India is a huge market. Only 2 showrooms are unlikely to cater to the luxury EV segment. Right now, Mumbai itself is going to cater to Mumbai, Gurgaon and Delhi, but there's an expectation that there could be multiple showrooms across India. Next, equally important, that whole trade-off between import versus make in India, that is likely to really decide how much of a big game changer India is going to be for Elon Musk's companies. Why? Because India is very clear that you cannot import, because if you do, you're going to be charged 70% to 100% import duties. If you make in India, we're going to slash it down to 15% as per the EV policy, but you've got to commit $500 million as local investment. For Elon Musk, that's a very tough task simply because he cannot upset Donald Trump anymore. But India is equally important for another reason why Prime Minister Modi and Elon Musk are likely to continue that negotiation, and that is because of Starlink launch, where all regulatory hurdles, viewers, have been cleared. There's expectation that spectrum will be allocated fairly soon, and then Starlink will have a big bang launch in India, which is probably when Elon Musk is likely to be in India towards the later half of this year. On that note, viewers, I'm going to slip into a very short break, come back and address some of the other key stories that we are looking at in this show. Stay with us.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold
CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Now the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves.
And Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edappadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
कहना इस दीवार पे इतने इश्तहार चिपके हैं कि कोई दरार नजर नहीं आती। मैं उन लोगों में से जो कहता हूँ सारे इश्तहार फाड़ के फेंको, पहले दरार को एड्रेस करो।
ये दरार इसलिए क्योंकि कुछ लेफ्ट कुछ राइट, पर हम उन मुद्दों में आपके साथ जिनसे आपकी फाइट है। डिजिटल से देश समझा, अब टीवी पर समाधान लाना है। आइए मेरे साथ खबरों की कचहरी में सिर्फ NDTV पर।
कोई जरूरत तो उसको इंटरव्यू देने की।
गायकवाड़ साहब ऐसे मत कीजिए।
लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है, लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है।
किसने हक दिया आपको हाथ उठाने का?
अगर फिर से कोई ऐसी गलती करेगा तो मैं छोड़ूंगा नहीं।
सर आप लाइव हैं NDTV पर।
मैं सही बात कर रहा हूँ तो
आपकी जो आवाज है,
आप मेरी आवाज ब्रेक मत कीजिए, मेरा पूरा सुन लीजिए।
देखा है, सबने सुना है।
मैं तुम्हारी बात नहीं करूंगा। ये क्या पद्धति है? ये बात करते हैं तो मैं नहीं करूंगा बात इनसे।
गायकवाड़ साहब ऐसे मत कीजिए।
लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है, लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है।
Fauja Singh, the iconic runner who earned the tag of world's oldest marathoner, died at the age of 114 in a road accident on Monday. Known as Turbulent Tornado, a global icon for defying age and limitations, he died at a hospital after a road accident in Jalandhar district on Monday evening. He was struck by an unidentified vehicle while out for a walk in his native village in Punjab's Jalandhar district. Singh was immediately rushed to a private hospital but succumbed to his injuries during treatment. He was born in 1911 in Jalandhar and he only started running at the age of 89.
Some say sport is a matter of life and death. The truth is, it is far more serious than that. Sport is about ecstasy and agony, about pain and suffering, about joy and much more. Some say there's no one better to tell these stories. So here I am. Join me, Boria Majumdar, on India's #1 news network.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है, जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज़ और देखती है यहाँ तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है। बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ NDTV इंडिया पर।
Well, in the latest episode of Control All Defense, we are talking about a platform that all of you want to hear about, that's Tejas. The big question, we do know it's a great platform, but is it of use for the Indian Air Force going into the future? How relevant will it remain?
But I'd like to start this off by asking you, Vishnu, what you think about the whole question of India not having stealth fighters right now.
It's a huge
Everyone's
problem.
trying to sell them to us as well.
It's a huge problem, Shiv. Let's face it, in as much as we love the Rafale aircraft and the Indian Air Force is completely vouching for it, perhaps they'd like more than 100 more. The Indian Navy has just gotten into an order for 26 Rafale M aircraft. There is a generation gap between the Rafale and the stealth. There is a good reason why a stealth platform is called a 5th generation aircraft and a Rafale is a 4th or 4.5 generation aircraft, and that is low observability. So in as much as the Rafale has brilliant sensors, both in terms of its radar, its defensive suite, its electronic warfare suite, its towed array decoy system, it is not typically a low observability platform in quite the same manner in which a stealth aircraft is. Its design form is different. And therefore, if Pakistan does have low observable aircraft, which would be the J-35, in fact, the first ones might even start entering service or coming into the PAF ahead of entering service at some time this year, then India is in trouble.
So
Why?
this year? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first could actually start coming in this year. They're really pushing for it. And they've gotten apparently into some agreement with the Chinese to ensure that the funding is done on very loose and terms favorable to Pakistan, as has been in the case in the past. If Pakistan starts acquiring low platforms which are low observable, in other words, stealth platforms, then that's an additional headache for the Indian Air Force, because tracking stealth aircraft requires a certain specialization. It's much more difficult. The time that you have to actually engage a potential stealth target is reduced greatly, and therefore, it's a problem.
A very good evening. You're watching Prime 5. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. Over the course of the next 60 minutes, we'll get you all the stories that matter this Tuesday evening. But first up, as always, we start with the headlines. In the Pune Porsche case, the plea to try juvenile as adult has been rejected. Drunk brat killed 2 will receive lenient punishment. Father of the killed techie speaks to NDTV, says system has betrayed us. After Odisha, there is now a Bangalore campus horror. College student raped by 2 lecturers. 3 have been arrested. That includes 2 teachers and 1 friend. India's space hero Shubhanshu Shukla back on Earth. India's giant leap in space as history has been made. Our boy is back home from space. It's a big relief for Kerala nurse Nimisha Priya, whose execution in Yemen has been postponed. The execution in Yemen was originally slated for tomorrow, but there's hope as back-channel talks with Yemeni authorities are underway. Bihar law and order challenge once again out in the open as bank manager's body found in Patna. Nitish government is now under pressure just weeks ahead of state ports. Viewers, we start Prime 5 with a story which is the Pune Porsche case, where the court has rejected the plea to try the juvenile as an adult. The police have filed plea to try accused as an adult, and the Pune accused to be tried as a juvenile is what the final word. Now, this drunk brat is being treated with kid gloves. He's old enough to kill, but not old enough to face the law. That's the key question. 14 months have passed since the accident took place, and justice is still awaited by the families of the two techies who were killed for no fault of theirs. This was an accident in which this drunk brat, who was then a juvenile, was driving. He is the father of an influential man. The reason why many feel no progress has happened so far in the case. What also followed in the last 14 months is that his mother had actually swapped her blood sample with that of the accused, and for that she was arrested, but she's now out on interim bail. She's out on bail now, and that means that as things stand right now, no clarity on when justice, if at all, there will be. The 17-year-old drove his father's electric supercar into a two-wheeler, killed two people, but he cannot be tried as an adult, is what the Juvenile Justice Board tells us. I want to first play out this soundbite of the public prosecutor, and then we move ahead on this story.
Today, in Porsche car case, judgment goes against us, against the government or against the prosecution. But with due deliberation with law and judiciary, along with my colleagues, I will take an appropriate decision. I must say one thing, that up till now I haven't got the judgment copy from Honorable Court. Once I got the copy, I will take an appropriate decision. In this particular offence, blood samples were altogether tried to be changed, and the very purpose behind changing of the blood sample is to change the course of justice and change the course of the investigation. So according to us, this is the heinous offence, but no doubt I must candidly admit that there is certain provisions in the Act itself which says that these sorts of offences cannot be termed as a heinous offence.
Now, the police viewers, the Juvenile Justice Board is not convinced by the police's argument, and the court says that the minor accused cannot be tried as adults. 14 months have passed. The trial hasn't even started. There is no clarity on when trial will start. What will be the justice? My colleague Shivarur spoke with the victims' families who continue to wait for justice, and it seems that the wait is only getting longer. Listen into a slice of that conversation.
सुरेश जी, आपसे मैं शुरू करूंगा। आपको पता है कि जो न्यूज़ है आज वो ये है कि जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड ने खारिज कर दिया है वो याचिका कि वो जो गाड़ी चला रहा था उसको एक अडल्ट के रूप से उसको ट्राई किया जाए, लेकिन वो नहीं होगा। अब आपके मन में अभी क्या है सुरेश जी?
अब मेरे मन में सबसे पहले यही प्रश्न उठ रहा है कि मतलब जैसे शुरुआत में ही जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड की कार्यप्रणाली पर उंगलियां मैंने अकेले नहीं, पूरी देश ने, पूरी दुनिया में उठाई थी कि जो बालक ड्रिंक कर रहा है, फास्ट गाड़ी चला रहा है, उसको माइनर कैसे माना जा सकता है। और
21
जो इतने एक साल से भी ज़्यादा हो चुका है, अभी तक तो जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड के जो मेंबर थे उनकी जगह पर तो कोई आया नहीं था। जो जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड के जो 2 मेंबर को सरकार ने बर्खास्त किया था, उनकी जगह पर कोई नियुक्ति तो हुई नहीं थी। तो फिर 1 महीने के अंदर नियुक्ति भी हो गई, उसका असिस्टमेंट भी हो गया और उसकी कार्यप्रणाली का एनालिसिस भी हो गया कि उसको एडल्ट ट्रीट करना चाहिए या नहीं करना चाहिए, ये सब कुछ हो गया और 1 महीने के अंदर सारा डिसीजन हो गया। तो इनकी कार्यप्रणाली पर शंका तो फिर से उठेगी। तो मेरे हिसाब से तो एडल्ट ट्रीट करना ही नहीं चाहिए था और उसके कार्यप्रणाली को देख के ही जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड को कोई डिसीजन देना था।
ओम प्रकाश जी, आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे आज जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड के ये जो निर्णय से? आप क्या कहेंगे?
आपके द्वारा ही हमें पता चला है, अभी न्यूज जो आई है आपके द्वारा ही पता चला। इसमें तो हमें शुरू से ही ऐसी लग रहा है, जिस तरह से ढिलमुल रवैया रहा है जे बोर्ड का, उससे ही समझ आ रहा था कि इनके तरफ से तो यही मिलेगा। इनके तरफ से उम्मीद नहीं थी सर हमें। बाकी केंद्र गवर्नमेंट में इसमें नियम कानून में बदलाव करना चाहिए ताकि ये लोग जो किए हैं उसमें ये सब ना होता। बालिग का केस चलाने के लिए इनको निर्णय देना चाहिए था, लेकिन हो गया, आप कुछ कह नहीं सकते इसके लिए। अब क्या बोल सकते हैं सर?
क्या आपको लगता है ओम प्रकाश जी, क्या आपको लगता है कि अभी भी पैसों का खेल चल रहा है पुणे में? क्या आपको लगता है कि अभी भी जिन लोगों के पास शक्ति है इस केस को इन्फ्लुएंस करने के लिए उनको पैसे खिलाया जा रहा है? क्या आपको लगता है ये सच है?
देखिए, हम सामने रह के हम देख तो नहीं रहे पैसे खिलाए जा रहे हैं नहीं, लेकिन दबाव पूरा बराबर है। सब तरह समझ में आ रहा है कि हम लोग तो उससे दूर, पुणे से काफी दूरी पे हैं। हम लोग को पता चल रहा है कि कहीं ना कहीं लोग खेल खेल रहे होंगे, क्योंकि अभी न्यूज पे भी आया था कि कहीं ये दूसरे जगह ब्लड सैंपलिंग के बदलने के लिए दूसरे हॉस्पिटल में भी काफी दबाव दिया, काफी पैसे खिलाने के चक्कर में थे, लेकिन डॉक्टरों की वजह से नहीं कर पाए। तो समझ में तो आता है सर, हम दूर हैं और इनका पैसों का खेल, ये तो सभी लोगों जान रहे हैं कि पैसे खेल कितना चला है उधर पे। ऐसा ना होता सर, ये इतने बड़े आदमी, पूंजीपति आदमी है भाई, 3 करोड़ की गाड़ी लेकर बच्चा घूम रहा है, लाख रुपए वॉलेट में डलवा के चल रहा है। अब आप समझ सकते हैं 80-80 हजार रुपये शराब पार्टी कर रहा है, तो ये बताइए बालिग नहीं कहलाया तो नाबालिग, अब नाबालिग दे रही है तब न्यायपालिका है सर। अब न्यायपालिका कर रही है, हमारे साथ न्याय नहीं हो रहा है। हमें पता है कि हम लोग के साथ तो किसी तरह से न्याय नहीं हो रहा, हमारे बच्चे चले गए, लेकिन हम लोग के साथ कहीं पे न्याय नहीं हो रहा। हमें बच्चों को न्याय कैसे मिलेगा बताइए? ये पैसों वाली पार्टी है, कुछ भी कर सकती है, बता सकते हैं आप।
सुरेश जी, अभी 1-2 हफ्ते पहले ये भी पता चल गया है कि ना सिर्फ सासुन हॉस्पिटल में ये खेल चल रहा था, लेकिन एक दूसरे हॉस्पिटल में भी ये खेल चल रहा था कि ब्लड सैंपल स्विच हो जाए, उस नाबालिग सो कॉल्ड नाबालिग को
ऐसा पता चला,
ये भी सामने आया है। आपको पता है ये सब?
हाँ, ये कहीं से न्यूज मिली थी कि खेल तो चला, अगर उनने उस हॉस्पिटल ने मना कर दिया था कि यहाँ पे ये सब नहीं हो पाएगा, तो फिर वो ससून हॉस्पिटल लेके कर गए हैं, क्योंकि ससून हॉस्पिटल में उनका शायद जैक रहा होगा पहले से।
सुरेश जी,
इसीलिए सैंपल वगैरह जो है ना सब
14 महीने में,
से करवाई
14 महीने में अग्रवाल परिवार से कोई भी आपको संपर्क करने के लिए ट्राई किया है? किसी ने आपको कांटेक्ट किया है, ट्राई किया है कॉन्वर्सेशन के लिए, या कुछ भी नहीं?
नहीं, हाँ, ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ है।
तो ये साल कैसे बीते हैं आपने? 14 महीने हो गए सर। ये केस तो चल रहा है स्टेट के साइड से, आपके लिए कैसा रहा है?
कैसे बीते सर, कैसे बीते वो तो मैं अब आपको बता नहीं सकता। यदि यहाँ पे कोई सीसीटीवी कैमरा वगैरह मेरे घर में होता तो मैं आपको पूरे रिकॉर्डिंग 14 महीने की रिकॉर्डिंग दिखा देता कि मैं एक पल कैसे मर के जी रहा हूँ।
Viewers, I'm turning attention now to a story, a shocker of a story that's come to light from Bengaluru, which is eerily similar to what happened in Odisha. Now, what's happened here is that there were 2 college lecturers who've been arrested by the police for allegedly raping a female student on multiple occasions and then blackmailing her. The accused have been identified as Narendra, who's a physics lecturer, and Sandeep, who's a biology lecturer, and their friend Anup. All 3 were working at a private college where the survivor, the victim, was a student. As per police complaint, Narendra first approached the student under the pretext of sharing academic notes, and then he gradually built a friendship through constant messaging. He's then accused of later luring her to a friend's room in Bengaluru, where he allegedly raped her and then threatened not to reveal the incident. Days later, Sandeep too made advances, and when she resisted, he reportedly blackmailed her, claiming to have photos and videos of her with Narendra. Now, under duress, he also then allegedly raped her at Anoop's residence. Subsequently, Anoop is said to have threatened the student by citing CCTV footage of her entering his room and then went on to assault her as well. I'm going to first play out this soundbite of Ramesh Bhanot, who's the Joint Commissioner of Police East in this matter.
ಕೇಸ್ 5ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಮಾತಂಗಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಠಾಣೆಯಲ್ಲಿ. ಸಂತ್ರಸ್ತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ FIR ಮಾಡಿ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ 3 ಜನ ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಗಿದೆ. ಅದ ನಂತರ ನಾವು ಮತ್ತೆ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡ ನಂತರ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಷನ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ಯಾರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಯಾರು ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, 3 ಜನ ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ.
There are these sexual predators on college campuses. What we saw in Bengaluru, well, in Odisha, it took a very extreme end, but it was pretty much the same. Sexual predators on college campuses. In Odisha, the college student who had set herself ablaze following alleged sexual harassment by a professor was cremated today in her ancestral village. The student was from Balasore's Fakir Mohan Autonomous College. She was fighting for her life for the last 3 days in AIIMS Bhubaneswar before she died last night. The professor who allegedly harassed her and the principal of the college have been arrested. But the family has said it's too little and too late. Now, the Central Education Ministry has set up a fact-finding team on Balasore College student suicide case, even as politics is now raging over this case. You have the leader of opposition in Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, saying that the death of a daughter fighting for justice in Odisha is nothing less than the murder by the BJP system. And that has led to a sharp response that has come in from the BJP as well. In the midst of this, justice for that girl seems to have taken a back seat. Let me quickly now get in my colleague Shreyasi De, who connects the dots for us in this case from Odisha.
Well, there is a political firestorm in Odisha over this tragic incident. It's not even been asked that we have lost the victim. She was battling not just for justice, but also for her life with over 90% burn injuries. She succumbed to her injuries this morning. Her mortal remains were brought to her home. The Odisha government has announced 20 lakh ex gratia to the family as aid, but her life could not be saved. And of course, there has been a systematic failure where the administration failed to pay heed to the complaints that she was making, and the complaints were against the HOD of the Education Department, who was seeking sexual favors in turn and threatening this student of dire consequences academically if she did not give in to those requests. And that complaint was raised to the principal earlier in June, but there was nothing done about it. And now we have lost that victim. She has passed away, but the political storm continues in Odisha while the family still awaits justice. The principal and the HOD behind bars, but the crime branch of the Odisha police continues its investigation to understand whether this is a standalone complaint, whether there were such instances also reported earlier. The internal committee that was set up by the college has also been quizzed by the panel that has been formed by the Odisha government. So the BJP really looking at deflecting all the heat upon it over this particular issue and the larger question of safety and security of women. And on the 17th of July, all the opposition parties have called for a bandh in Odisha to lodge their protest and intensify it against the BJP government. Back to you.
Turning attention now to Rahul Gandhi, where he has been granted bail. This is the MP-MLA Special Magistrate Court in Lucknow. The leader of opposition in Lok Sabha was granted bail in connection with the case where he allegedly made defamatory statements regarding Indian soldiers during his Bharat Jodo Yatra. It has been alleged that Rahul Gandhi had repeatedly made statements in a derogatory manner with regard to saying that the Chinese army is thrashing Indian soldiers in Arunachal Pradesh. That was the context of the comments that were made by Rahul Gandhi, and then it was taken up. And in that case, he's got bail now. Let's get into my colleague Nupur Dogra for more on this. Nupur, what's the kind of comments and observations that have been made by the court in this matter?
Well, today, for now, the MP-MLA court has granted bail to Rahul Gandhi. Remember, the Allahabad High Court had refused a similar relief earlier. Gandhi is accused of passing defamatory remarks while during his Bharat Jodo Yatra against Indian Army. It was said that he was repeatedly seen saying that Indian Army was being thrashed by Chinese army in Arunachal Pradesh. So he has made several other remarks also. For now, the court has granted him this relief. Today, he was asked to be personally present in the MP-MLA court. And this is, in fact, a big relief for the Congress leader, as earlier Allahabad High Court had refused to quash the defamation case against him. However, the defamation case is still there. It is still pending, and the next hearing will be in August.
I'm going to leave it there. Thanks much. That's Nupur Dogra, who tracks the courts very closely for us. Viewers, turning attention now to Manipur, where there's been a massive weapons seizure as crackdown on illegal arms in Manipur continues. There's been a massive arms haul that has actually shocked Imphal. firearms to a very large amount have been recovered, and those are visuals, viewers, on your screens, which includes rifles, pistols, grenades that have been seized. And multiple rounds of ammunition has been seized, over 974 rounds. Rifles, pistols, grenades, all have been recovered in several districts across Imphal. All right, turning attention to the big story that we are tracking on the show. Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, India's Gaganyaan is back on Earth. The SpaceX crew capsule Egress, as it's called, carrying Group Captain Shukla and 3 others, splashed down off the coast of California near San Diego right after 3 p.m. IST. About 50 minutes later, he was helped out of the spacecraft. Group Captain Shukla will return to Delhi on the 17th of August. Union Minister Jitendra Singh said after the spacecraft had returned to Earth. Group Captain Shukla is an Indian Air Force pilot, is only the second Indian to visit space after Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma 41 years back. He's the first Indian to visit the International Space Station and orbiting space laboratory. Now, a key moment and a milestone as far as India's space journey is concerned. We're going to connect with experts to know more on this. But first up, I want to play out this conversation that my colleague Ranveer had with Shubhanshu Shukla's sister, his family, who were waiting with bated breath for the safe return of Shubhanshu Shukla. Listen in.
Highly happy and proud and so happy to see all the love. Day one से मैं भी यही बोल रही हूँ कि शुभांशु शुक्ला का ऑब्जेक्टिव भी यही है और हमारा एज अ फैमिली भी हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव भी यही है कि इनकी वजह से अगर ये बच्चे मोटिवेट होते हैं और फ्यूचरिस्टिक प्लान सोचते हैं और इसके बारे में डेडिकेट होते हैं, इससे अच्छा अचीवमेंट और कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. दैट वुड बी द बेस्ट अचीवमेंट. और आज जो लैंडिंग हुई है बहुत खूबसूरत थी, बहुत स्मूथ थी एंड वी गॉट इमोशनल ऑल्सो. एंड इसी की उम्मीद थी क्योंकि हमेशा से भरोसा रहा है कि शुभांशु शुक्ला जो करेंगे वो अच्छा ही करेंगे.
हम लोग को भी भरोसा था कि बिल्कुल सेफ आ जाएंगे, लेकिन उस वक्त इमोशन कैसा था, एक बार अगर एक्सप्लेन कर सकें.
दिस इज रियली डिफिकल्ट क्योंकि ये इमोशन केवल आंसुओं की फॉर्म में बाहर आया एंड वर्ड्स आर नॉट इनफ right now to explain this, but highly proud of it, and I don't know what to say. I'm so thrilled right now. I don't know how to say thank you to God कि शुभांशु ने ये सक्सेसफुली मिशन पूरा किया है और मैं उनकी बहन हूँ. आई डोंट नो हाउ टू से थैंक.
नई यात्रा शुरू होगी 2 साल बाद.
डेफिनेटली एक नई यात्रा. मैं विश करती हूँ वो कई सारी और नई यात्रा करें. ये तो शुरुआत है, अभी डेट नहीं पता है अभी इंडिया कब आ रहा है या लखनऊ कब आ रहा है. दैट इज वी आर नॉट. ऑफ कोर्स सेलिब्रेशन है. दिस इज़ द हाई मोमेंट ऑफ सेलिब्रेशन. ये किसी भी दिवाली और होली से बहुत बड़ा सेलिब्रेशन है. ये हम लोगों को 41 साल लग गए इस अचीवमेंट को पाने के लिए. सो इससे बड़ा सेलिब्रेशन और कुछ नहीं हो सकता.
सबसे पहले NDTV की तरफ से आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई, बहुत शुभकामनाएं. क्या फीलिंग थी उस वक्त जब आप सोफे पे बैठे बैठे खड़े हो गए उस वक्त?
नहीं तो फीलिंग अच्छी थी. बच्चे का जो है वापसी हो रही थी. बच्चे की अच्छी तरह जो है वो मतलब जो है लैंडिंग हुई और बच्चा उससे जो है ड्रैगन से बाहर आया तो बड़ा अच्छा लगा. देश मतलब दिल को जो है बहुत सुकून देने वाला लगा. आज जो है बहुत अच्छा मतलब जो है हम महसूस करते हैं कि बहुत हल्के हो गए हैं.
अच्छा, जब कैप्सूल लैंड हो रहा था तो बड़ा रिस्क भी होता है कई बार. कितना डर ज़्यादा था या खुशी ज़्यादा थी कि बेटा सुरक्षित?
डर नहीं था, बस एक भावनात्मक जो लगाव होता है जैसे आदमी से, तो उसको जो ये होता है कि हम देखते हैं कि उसको मतलब कोई परेशानी ना होने पाए. परेशानी उसकी जगह पर हमें हो जाए तो दिक्कत नहीं है, उसको न कोई परेशानी. ये भावनात्मक वो अटैचमेंट होता है बच्चे बाप बेटे का, तो उसके लिए थोड़ा सा जो है मन में वो था. बाकी कोई हमें दिक्कत नहीं.
परसों जब आपकी बात हुई, क्या बात हुई थी?
तो उसने यही बताया था पापा सब यहाँ ठीक है और हम जो है कल निकल रहे हैं यहाँ सब, और मतलब लौटने के बाद ही बात होगी, अब बीच में बात नहीं होगी. और जो है अच्छी तरह वापस आते हैं फिर आपसे बात करते हैं.
अच्छा बाबूजी, एक तरफ तो विज्ञान था कि विज्ञान ने अंतरिक्ष में ले जाने का काम किया, वापस लाने का काम किया. दूसरी तरफ धर्म था. जब आप सुबह पूजा पाठ कर रहे थे, ये विज्ञान और धर्म का जो समावेश है ये कितना काम करता आपके साथ?
विज्ञान देखिए, विज्ञान तो अपनी जगह पर पूरा काम करता है, मगर आस्था साथ में जुड़ी रहती है तो उसमें विश्वास पैदा होता है. बगैर विश्वास के संभव नहीं है. विश्वास आस्था पैदा करती है और आस्था बच्चे के लिए हमारे मन में तो 100%. बच्चे में मतलब जो है विज्ञान 100% होगा, मेरे में आस्था 100%। तो ये दोनों रहते हैं साथ में तो हर मिशन पूरा होगा उसका।
आप लोगों की आंखों में बहुत इमोशन के आंसू थे और शुभांशु जब निकल रहे थे तो उनके चेहरे पे एक अलग ही मुस्कान थी। ये
हमेशा मुस्कुराता रहता, कभी आपने देखा होगा उसको हमेशा मुस्कुराते पाएंगे।
All right, let's get in Pranav Sharma, who's a space historian, and Apurva Jakari, who's a space educator and advisor to the planetarium in Nashik. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me. And Apurva, let me start with you, ma'am. In terms of the impact this mission is likely to have in terms of future generations of India who are going to be hooked on to becoming astronauts, to becoming space scientists. And I think that's the big revolution that has happened, hasn't it?
Yes, thank you so much. This is definitely a phenomenal step, and particularly for India and our Indian space program, because this will pay a way to Indian space program and our new generation of astronauts, aerospace engineers, and astronautics, those who are working right now as space professionals in various space industries. It's an opportunity for them as well, because this is definitely going to be a wave in India, because we can see that particularly the younger generation who are very keen to work in this industry, and I can see many startups coming up in India, not just in Bangalore or Hyderabad, in Maharashtra, everywhere across the country we can see. So this is like a dream come true, particularly of Dr. APJ Kalam, who dreamt of India as a leader, and particularly in aerospace and defense. So it means a lot for all of us. And as a space educator, I feel that in space medicines, in life sciences, biosciences, and aerospace engineering and technology, there are golden opportunities coming up for our new generation.
Indeed, I have a space educator as well as a space historian on the show, and Pranav Sharma, this Shubhanshu Shukla becomes the second Indian to ever go into space, the first to the International Space Station. The significance of this has been highlighted, but talk to us about this mission being so important for India and what lies ahead for us from here on.
So there are a couple of things that need to be understood in context, especially with the kind of trajectory that the Indian space program wants to take and is intending to lead the world. First thing that this mission has done is it has given us really invaluable first-hand experience. There's no denying that. We now know firsthand how microgravity works. Of course, I mean, you keep reading these kind of things, there's knowledge transfer, everything is there, but that's second-hand knowledge. That helps to a great extent, but not completely. So this first-hand knowledge is the critical asset. That's the first part. The second part is that, Shubhanshu Shukla took in the mission several Indian scientific payloads. And while running the experiment, there's certain kind of validations that came while conducting the experiments. Like the myogenesis experiment, the space agriculture experiment, the Voyager display experiment on how your eye behaves. So these would be essential knowledge skills for the Gaganyaan mission, especially for the life support system and crew interfaces with the Gaganyaan mission. The third thing that it certainly does is that it strengthens your international standing, and whatever said and done in this multipolar, multilateral world, if you need a seat on the table, you might have to carve one for yourself. So we really did that, and we did it very gracefully. So I'm extremely happy about that. So you have to come at equal footing, and sometimes you have to create that equal. And most importantly, what it does is, and I think that is what the space program has been about, is about boosting the national morale and inspiration. You have somebody who looks like you, who talks like you, who's from your same community, from your country, maybe from your school or from your vicinity, who has overcome the most important, or rather the most essential of the human frontiers, which is the space. It gives an unprecedented amount of inspiration.
Indeed, it does. Absolutely. Unprecedented inspiration. And also, you're right about the fact that it does give us a seat on the high table. India, as one of the big superpowers when it comes to space, is established yet again. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me on this discussion, this conversation around the importance of Shubhanshu Shukla's mission. On that note, viewers, a quick break. We return on the other side of Prime 5 with more stories. Stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
Tamil Nadu.
Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves and Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash. Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
But I'd like to start this off by asking you, Vishnu, what you think about the whole question of India not having stealth fighters right now.
It's a huge
Everyone's
problem.
trying to sell them to us as well.
It's a huge problem, Shiv. Let's face it, in as much as we love the Rafale aircraft and the Indian Air Force is completely vouching for it, perhaps they'd like more than 100 more. The Indian Navy has just gotten into an order for 26 Rafale M aircraft. There is a generation gap between the Rafale and the stealth. There is a good reason why a stealth platform is called a 5th generation aircraft and a Rafale is a 4th or 4.5 generation aircraft, and that is low observability. So in as much as the Rafale has brilliant sensors, both in terms of its radar, its defensive suite, its electronic warfare suite, its towed array decoy system, it is not typically a low observability platform in quite the same manner in which a stealth aircraft is. Its design form is different. And therefore, if Pakistan does have low observable aircraft, which would be the J-35, in fact, the first ones might even start entering service or coming into the PAF ahead of entering service at some time this year, then India is in trouble.
So
why?
this year? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first could actually start coming in this year. They're really pushing for it. And they've gotten apparently into some agreement with the Chinese to ensure that the funding is done on very loose and terms favorable to Pakistan, as has been in the case in the past. If Pakistan starts acquiring low platforms which are low observable, in other words, stealth platforms, then that's an additional headache for the Indian Air Force, because tracking stealth aircraft requires a certain specialization. It's much more difficult. The time that you have to actually engage a
Shocker coming in from Bengaluru campus. College student raped by 2 lecturers, 3 arrested in this case, 2 teachers and 1 friend. India's space hero Shubhanshu Shukla back on Earth. This is India's giant leap in space as history has been made. Our boy is now back home from space. Huge relief for Kerala nurse Nimisha Priya, whose execution in Yemen has been postponed. Originally, it was slated for tomorrow, even as back-channel communications with Yemeni authorities continue. Law and order situation in Bihar yet again comes to light as bank manager's body found in Patna. Nitish government under the scanner, under pressure, just weeks ahead of elections.
Presented by Canara Bank. Together we can.
Now viewers, Fauja Singh was an iconic runner who earned the tag of world's oldest marathoner. He died at the age of 114 due to a road accident. He was known as Turban Tornado. He was a global icon for defying age and limitations. He actually started running at the age of 89. He was an epitome of fitness. But what happened? He died at a hospital after a road accident in Jalandhar district on Monday. He was struck by an unidentified vehicle while he was out for a walk in his native village. He was immediately rushed to a private hospital but succumbed to his injuries. He was born in 1911 and would have continued had it not been for this case.
One of the person who had picked up Fauja Singh when he was injured and he was lying unconscious on this road, we will talk to him. तो क्या नाम है जी आपका?
गुरप्रीत सिंह है सर।
गुरप्रीत जी, कैसे हुआ पूरी वारदात? क्योंकि आप तो फौजा सिंह को जब इंजर्ड थे यहाँ से उनको लेके गए थे।
सर वो ऐसे ना वॉक कर रहे थे, वैसे भी
चलते समझा दो ताकि हमारे व्यूअर्स को पता चल जाए कि कैसे हुआ।
वो वैसे भी ना सैर करने का शौक रखते थे, रनिंग का भी शौक रखते थे। वो इधर रोड पे भी घूमते रहते थे और गांव के भी अंदर है ना। तो इधर सामने जो ढाबा दिख रहा है उनकी जगह मैं रेंट पे लीज पे दे रखा उन्होंने। वो
कुलदीप के नाम
पे ढाबा है। वो हमें तो यही पता चला जब हम मौके पे मौजूद हुए, 1-2 मिनट के बाद ही हम यहाँ पर आ गए। वो इधर से गाड़ी आ रही थी भोगपुर तरफ से, वो रोड क्रॉस करने लगे, गाड़ी ने जोर से हिट किया उनको। तो एकदम से उनकी जो बॉडी है वो 7-8 फीट जो बता रहे हैं मौके पे मौजूद बंदे, वे ऊंची हाइट पर गई उनकी बॉडी।
तो कहाँ पे हुआ? क्योंकि आप इधर से ही आ रहे थे, कहाँ से आप बाइक पे थे, किस पे थे आपने?
जब बॉडी उनकी ऊपर पहले उछली तो नीचे गाड़ी से होकर जहाँ पर सर गिरी, ये जो ब्लड का स्पॉट बना हुआ है यहाँ पे, बस 10 मिनट जाने में लगे। जहाँ जालंधर हॉस्पिटल में लेकर गए।
कैसे लेके गए आप?
अपनी गाड़ी एक और जहाँ पे थी हमारे गांव के भाई लोग, वो साथ लेकर गए और वहाँ पर भी उनकी जो स्थिति थी, तबीयत थी, ठीक थी, लेकिन सर में ज़्यादा चोट होने के कारण जो डॉक्टर साहब ने उनको एक्सरे वगैरह लिए, स्कैनिंग की उनकी, और उनकी जो पसलियाँ वो टूट चुकी थी, उन्होंने बताया एक्सरे में।
We have seen Fauja Singh was killed in a hit and run accident. Joining us his son Harvinder Singh. We will talk to him to just know the memories of Fauja Singh. तो फौजा सिंह जी की कल डेथ होगी क्योंकि हिट किया गया, उसके बाद गाड़ी वहाँ से भाग गई। तो कितनी यादें आपके पास उनकी, क्योंकि कई मेडल लिए हैं, कई रिकॉर्ड तोड़े हैं उन्होंने।
देखिए जी, ये मेडल देखो ना, क्या मेडल, अभी तो इंग्लैंड में मेडल है, एक थोड़ी है, हजारों मेडल है। देखो कितना है, किस किस की याद करूं मैं? देख लो, जूम करके देखो। ये महारानी एलिजाबेथ है, इसके घर जाते थे। ये देखो सारे मेडल्स हैं, कौन कौन सा गांव, पंजाब में की, दिल्ली में की, इधर देखो सारे, क्या क्या दिखाऊं मुझे, देखो तो सर।
Pathankot Jalandhar highway, where we have seen yesterday an accident had taken place in which Fauja Singh, who is also marathon runner, he lost his life. He was being killed by a reckless driver when he was being hit when he was present here. So we are showing all the visuals from here, all the pictures from here. So I'll request my VJ to show this busy highway where this incident had been taken place. And if we can pan this camera to show there is no CCTV camera footage, what we have learned, the police have got some broken pieces of the vehicle and they are trying to pursue the investigation. Some of the eyewitnesses who were present here when this accident had taken place with us, we will talk to them to understand how did this accident happened here, because what we have learned from the police as well as the villagers, this incident and this accident has happened at about 3 p.m. afternoon. We will talk to the villager and the eyewitness who were present here. So, क्या नाम है जी आपका?
महेंद्र सिंह।
महेंद्र सिंह जी, फौजा सिंह के गांव के रहने वाले हैं आप?
हाँ हाँ।
तो कल 3 बजे आप भी यहाँ पे थे, कैसे हुआ ये पूरा हादसा?
जब आया मैं उसको 10 मिनट पहले ही होया, मैं किचनगढ़ जा रहा सी, उसलिए उसको उठा के ले गए सीगे। और बंदे सी, पंचायत मैंबर सी, सरपंच सीगा, उसको बोला, वो कहता ले गए उसको, अपने उसके पड़ोसी सीगे मुंडे शहरों आए, वो फिर ले गए सी गाड़ी दे। तो मैं क्या कितना बचाव हो गया, कहते बचाया, सट्टां उदा काफ़ी लगियां ते उदा ठीक है।
All right, turning attention now to Bengaluru, which grapples with chronic traffic congestion every day. It's driven by rapid urbanization and a booming IT industry. Now, Prashant Pitti, who is a co-founder of Ease My Trip, has come up with an initiative to solve the crisis. Mr. Pitti has pledged 1 crore rupees to identify and fix the Garden City's choke points using AI and Google Maps data. In fact, he took to the social media platform X to share his idea, having grown deeply frustrated after spending over 2 hours just covering those 11-kilometer stretch on the outer ring road over the weekend. Now, this is an issue that many have spoken about in terms of the Bengaluru traffic. What can be done? What is the solution in terms of rapid urbanization, ensuring that major issues do not get fixed? Let's get in Sandeep Anirudhan, who is the convener of the Citizens Agenda for Bengaluru. In fact, before we get him, viewers, it's important to tell you that this is a matter, this is an issue that is at the heart of urban planning, civic infrastructure, that every city needs to focus on. Bengaluru even more, because it grew very fast and very rapidly after the IT boom started from early 2000s and late 1990s, to such an extent now that covering just a few kilometers takes forever. I'm turning attention now from Karnataka to Kerala, where Nimisha Priya, who's was supposed to be, her execution was slated for the 16th of July in Yemen, has been postponed. All efforts are being made, all back-channel lines of communications are being used, are being activated to ensure that her execution can be stayed. The Government of India, which has since the beginning of this case rendered all possible assistance in the matter, has made concerted efforts in recent days to seek more time for the family of the nurse to reach a mutually agreeable solution with the other party. There are sensitivities involved, viewers, which is why the case needs to be dealt with that much care. Indian officials have been in regular touch with the local jail authorities as well as the prosecutor's office, leading to securing this postponement. And sources say that she's likely, it remains to be seen how things unfold right now, but Nimisha Priya is on death row at the central prison in Yemen's capital, Sana'a, for the alleged murder of a Yemenese national, and she's scheduled to be executed on 16th of July. Let's get in my colleague Mohammad Ghazali, who's tracking this closely for us. Now, Ghazali, hectic negotiations have been underway the last couple of days. Some breakthrough has finally been achieved. What more are your sources telling you within the External Affairs Ministry?
In a big relief to Nimisha Priya case, the Yemeni authorities have now stayed the execution of the Kerala-based nurse who was under conviction there on charges of killing one of her business partners. The announcement has just come a couple of hours ago after the local tribal leaders, the family of the victim, and one of the cleric who was contacted by the Grand Mufti of India based in Kerala. They all sat together, and somehow the scheduled execution, which was supposed to be tomorrow on July 16th, has been stayed for now. The Indian authorities have been informed about it, and it was a big test for India's diplomacy as well, because in Yemen, this entire area where Nimisha Priya was being held comes under the Houthis, the rebel Houthis, and with whom India doesn't have any diplomatic relations. So our mission in Saudi, our embassy in Saudi Arabia was in touch with the local leaders there. All the options before this, like the pardon, the blood money or giving pardon on as per good gesture by the family, all these options were exhausted. The family was not agreeing to even meet Nimisha Priya or her lawyer, but somehow by the intervention of MEA, persistent efforts from Ministry of External Affairs here in Delhi as well as their counterparts in Saudi Arabia, and then from some other NGOs, local leaders from India, like one of the Grand Muftis in Kerala, he stepped up. He contacted one of his friends over there in Yemen, a known cleric in Yemen, and then after that they all got together in the Dara area of Yemen. A meeting was held a couple of hours ago, after which the family was convinced, and for now her execution has been postponed. She won't be released, she has not been pardoned, but just a big reprieve for now is that her execution has been stayed. She won't be executed tomorrow, but Indian authorities are still working on for her safe release from Yemen.
All right, viewers, and more international news coming in. Donald Trump versus Vladimir Putin is now heating up. After US President Donald Trump gave Russian President a 50-day ultimatum to end the war in Ukraine, vowing that he could impose 100% tariffs and deep economic sanctions, Kremlin has responded, calling the remarks targeted at the Russian president as quite serious, which requires deeper analysis. Let me get in my colleague Disha Bakshi to know more about this. Now, Disha, this is extremely serious, the war of words that's going on between US and Russia. Tell us more what you're picking up right now.
Right, so now the Kremlin responding to Trump's ultimatum, that 50-day ultimatum that he issued yesterday, saying that if Russia does not agree to reach a truce deal with Ukraine, he will impose economic sanctions as well as 100% tariffs on Russia. But this was in a sense a step down from Trump, because many were even indicating that he could impose 500% tariffs on Russia. But now the Kremlin really responding and saying that this is very serious, we're taking this quite seriously, given the fact that his comments were directly targeted at the Russian president, and saying that not just that, but these comments by Trump need some analysis. And if after that, if Russian President Putin feels that is necessary, he will respond accordingly. But this war of words really over the past week indicates that U-turn from Washington yet again when it comes to their position in the Russia-Ukraine war. Since US President Donald Trump has entered office in January, there's been a multiple flip-flops on Trump's stance. Initially, there was support for Russia and opposition to Ukraine, but now we're clearly seeing with the latest military deal, wherein NATO will now buy weapons from US and then be giving that to Ukraine in its war effort, really indicates how Trump is now again leaning towards Ukraine, stepping up that pressure on Russia. So we yet to see what Russian President Putin could say regarding this ultimatum, but definitely a war of words that we need to keep an eye on.
All right, we leave it there. Disha Bakshi giving us an update as far as which way this war of words between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin is headed. At stake is the Russia-Ukraine war, which the president had committed to ending in a day when he was to enter office. That hasn't happened, but we'll keep a close watch on how things unfold there. Shifting focus now to Elon Musk's Tesla, whose long-awaited India debut begins with a showroom launch following years of negotiations, tariff hurdles and strategic delays. Tesla is making a bold move into the Indian EV market. It's launched its first ever experience center, which opened in Mumbai's Brandakula complex. It will showcase Tesla's most popular Model Y. This is the one that everybody around the world associates luxury EV segment with. In India, it's priced at about 60 lakh rupees, upwards of that. And the reason for that is the heavy duties that India imposes, because they have been asking for local production and not import. But as things stand right now, the grand opening in Mumbai is to be followed by a showroom in New Delhi as well in coming days, as Tesla looks to tap into the growing and large EV market in India. And I want to play out this soundbite of Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis, who was present at the launch of Tesla's first showroom in India. Listen in.
ये बहुत ही हर्ष की बात है कि कई वर्षों से जिसका इंतजार हम कर रहे थे, वो टेस्ला कार आज टेस्ला ने मुंबई से लॉन्च की है अपना भारत का पहला एक्सपीरियंस सेंटर। अपनी भारत की एंट्री आज उन्होंने मुंबई से अनाउंस की है। हमने उसका स्वागत किया है। अभी अभी डिजाइन और इनोवेशन में ईवी सेक्टर में टेस्ला को वर्ल्ड लीडर माना जाता है और उनका जो वर्ल्ड का सबसे मोस्ट लाइक्ड सबसे फेमस ब्रांड जो है मॉडल वाई, उसको वो यहाँ पर लॉन्च कर रहे हैं। डिलीवरी की लॉजिस्टिक्स की व्यवस्था और सर्विसिंग की व्यवस्था ये सारी खड़ा कर रहा है। साथ में 4 बड़े चार्जिंग स्टेशंस और 32 चार्जिंग की व्यवस्था है, ये भी टेस्ला खड़ा कर रहा है, जिसके कारण एक बड़े पैमाने पर ये चार्जिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर भी यहाँ पर तैयार होगा। और मुझे इस बात की खुशी है कि टेस्ला ने भी महाराष्ट्र को और मुंबई को चुना, क्योंकि आज ईवी के इलेक्ट्रिक मोबिलिटी के क्षेत्र में महाराष्ट्र लीडर बन चुका है।
Viewers, as we wrap things up on this edition of Prime 5, we leave you with this special report that talks about and highlights the fashion quotient at Wimbledon 2025, where from actors to sports icons, everyone brought in their most favorable and most fashionable self forward. Take a look at this report, and thanks so much for watching this edition of Prime 5.
Going to Wimbledon is like going to church on a Sunday. Ralph Lauren, Armani, Gucci, you name it, they're all there. The court side is as stylish as the front row at the Fashion Week. Wimbledon 2025 isn't just about tennis, it's about great style. Indian celebrities are serving looks courtside, and it's clear this year's style is just as much in focus as the scoreboards. Priyanka Chopra in a white halter neck Ralph Lauren, Sonam Kapoor rocking another pinstripe Ralph Lauren suit, accessorizing with a cute strawberry and tennis racket brooch, and finishing it off with a pair of Manolos. Neena and Masaba Gupta kept it Indian and edgy, with Mommy Gupta in an easy breezy sari, whereas Masaba in a cool bomber jacket. The glitterati flocked to Wimbledon donning their best courtside looks. Sports icons Sachin Tendulkar and Neeraj Chopra kept it suave in a sharp double-breasted suit. Known for her love for tennis, Urvashi Rautela was accompanied by her several labubus, making sure she wasn't unmissed. Preeti Zinta looked adorable in a polka dot look. Javed Akhtar, Anushka and Virat, supermodels Naomi Campbell to Hollywood royalty Nicole Kidman. With tennis core trend in full swing and color palette of blues, whites and peppy polkas, the Wimbledon fashion did not disappoint. So there's something about fashion and tennis that goes perfectly well together. Stunning style combined with exciting scoreboard. With camera person Ritvik Gugnani, this is Mayank Chaudhary for NDTV.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
ना इस दीवार पे इतने इश्तहार चिपके हैं कि कोई दरार नज़र नहीं आती। मैं उन लोगों में से जो कहता हूँ सारे इश्तहार फाड़ के फेंको, पहले दरार को एड्रेस करो।
ये दरार इसलिए क्योंकि कुछ लेफ्ट कुछ राइट, पर हम उन मुद्दों में आपके साथ जिनसे आपकी फाइट है। डिजिटल से देश समझा, अब टीवी पर समाधान लाना है। आइए मेरे साथ खबरों की कचहरी में सिर्फ NDTV पर।
But I'd like to start this off by asking you, Vishnu, what you think about the whole question of India not having stealth fighters right now.
It's a huge
Everyone's
problem.
trying to sell them to us as well.
It's a huge problem, Shiv. Let's face it, in as much as we love the Rafale aircraft and the Indian Air Force is completely vouching for it, perhaps they'd like more than 100 more. The Indian Navy has just gotten into an order for 26 Rafale M aircraft. There is a generation gap between the Rafale and the stealth. There is a good reason why a stealth platform is called a 5th generation aircraft and a Rafale is a 4th or 4.5 generation aircraft, and that is low observability. So in as much as the Rafale has brilliant sensors, both in terms of its radar, its defensive suite, its electronic warfare suite, its towed array decoy system, it is not typically a low observability platform in quite the same manner in which a stealth aircraft is. Its design form is different. And therefore, if Pakistan does have low observable aircraft, which would be the J-35, in fact, the first ones might even start entering service or coming into the PAF ahead of entering service at some time this year, then India is in trouble.
So
Why?
this year? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first could actually start coming in this year. They're really pushing for it. And they've gotten apparently into some agreement with the Chinese to ensure that the funding is done on very loose and terms favorable to Pakistan, as has been in the case in the past. If Pakistan starts acquiring low platforms which are low observable, in other words, stealth platforms, then that's an additional headache for the Indian Air Force, because tracking stealth aircraft requires a certain specialization. It's much more difficult. The time that you have to actually engage a potential stealth target is reduced greatly, and therefore, it's a problem.
कोई जरूरत तो उसको इंटरव्यू देने की।
गायकवाड़ साहब ऐसे मत कीजिए।
लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है, लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है।
किसने हक दिया आपको हाथ उठाने का?
अगर फिर से कोई ऐसी गलती करेगा तो मैं छोड़ूंगा नहीं।
सर आप लाइव हैं NDTV पर।
मैं सही बात कर रहा हूँ तो
आपकी जो आवाज है,
आप मेरी आवाज ब्रेक मत कीजिए, मेरा पूरा सुन लीजिए, वरना मैं तुम्हारी से बात नहीं करूंगा। ये क्या पद्धति है? ये बात करते हैं तो मैं नहीं करूंगा बात इनसे।
गायकवाड़ साहब ऐसे मत कीजिए।
लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है, लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है।
He wants to throw punches, he wants to throw slaps, but he can't take normal questions.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है। जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज़, और देखती है यहाँ तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है, बीच में मुद्दे के
Very good evening and welcome to Nationwide at 6 on NDTV. I am Ankit Tyagi. Ladies and gentlemen, an action-packed half hour lined up for you. Through this day, important stories that we are putting out for you on Nationwide this evening. End of a marathon. Fauja Singh, the man who lived life on his own terms, his life ended in a road accident. Killer Roads have claimed the legend. We'll get you details about this, and also the focus on how unsafe the roads in India are. Then we'll also talk about another iconic legend of India. The India Gate in the national capital is now out of bounds for common citizens. So many memories of this place, the OG picnic spot. The picnic there is over. Delhi's memories, all those things, nostalgia coming alive here in a short while from now. Let's start at this moment with our top story. The world mourns Fauja Singh, the turban tornado who passed away at the age of 114 in the most tragic way. Fauja Singh was born on April 1st, 1911. Fauja Singh gained prominence, global fame for beginning his marathon journey at the age of 89, becoming the oldest to compete a full marathon at the age of 100. People are remembering Fauja Singh's resilience, inspiring millions with his determination and spirit, leaving behind a legacy that transcends records. What happened, ladies and gentlemen, is absolutely tragic. Reports suggest that he was struck by an unidentified vehicle while crossing the road at around 3:30 p.m. yesterday and died in a private hospital. Imagine the man who defied age. It was literally a number for him, who lived life on his own terms. His life ended on the killer roads of India. What a tragic end for a legend. There is some news coming in on this, important breaking news at this moment. Let's very quickly get you the details on that. In this case, now police has in fact informed NDTV. The latest that we are getting in on this is that there are 3 vehicles which at this moment are under suspicion. The police is saying that they will crack the case very, very soon. This is something that the Punjab government has made a priority as well. And the SSP of rural, of the area has informed NDTV that they are working on this case. They will crack this soon. Some vehicles, about 3 vehicles, have been taken under suspicion. These are the vehicles that they are at this moment looking at. They are scanning the CCTV camera details at this moment to try and crack this case. Let's listen in to what the police has said.
We are collecting the data, CCTV footage from the various spots, and we are analyzing that. I have deputed the various teams under the supervision of a SP detective to trace the case. We have collected some physical evidence from the spot also. Some parts have been recovered, and we have sent those parts to the concerned agencies or experts to analyze that. We will crack this case soon.
All right, let me bring in my colleague Gurpreet Singh Sheena, who's tracking the developments on this story. Gurpreet, what a tragic end. The man who lived life on his own terms, he should have, he should have had the opportunity to go from this world comfortably in his bed, not on the road, the way his life has ended. What is the police saying, as far as the vehicle which is suspected to have run him over?
Well, we have been reporting from ground zero, and you had rightly used this road's name, Killer Roads, because this Killer Road has snuffed the life of a very iconic runner, Fauja Singh, and we have seen since morning the police are trying to procure the CCTV camera from this highway, which is from Pathankot to Jalandhar, so that they will be able to get leads. A few minutes back, we had a word with SSP. He says two, three vehicles are under suspicion, and they are trying to round up the drivers of these vehicles so that a proper investigation could be taken place. But as of now, it seems because they are not able to get any CCTV camera footage from the spot, because this is the highway from Pathankot to Jalandhar. So it seems the investigation gets a roadblock, and they are not able to pursue this investigation. But we have seen the top officer was very confident. He says we have got the leads and some broken parts of a vehicle which was being recovered by police from the spot that had been sent to a company so that they will be able to find out the make of the vehicle, and after that they are trying to find out the driver who is the culprit for killing Fauja Singh. So we have to wait and watch how the investigation will be unfolded in the coming days. Back to studio.
Thank you so much, Gurpreet, for joining us with all those details at this moment. But let me very quickly tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the roads in India and this incident of Fauja Singh, heartbreaking as it is, but it also raises the big question of how unsafe the roads in our country are. Fauja Singh, in fact, remember, he, as I said, killed in Jalandhar while he was just crossing the road at 3:30 p.m. And this is not the only case at this moment. A teen rams into a woman in Mumbai. This car, in fact, collision took place where a teen who was driving a car lost control, rammed into a woman, and resulting into serious injuries. The accused to be treated as minor in the Pune case. It's shocking. And the reason why it's shocking is because we don't take, not only do we not take the road, in fact, rules seriously, but it is so easy for people to violate those rules. And the Pune case is example of that. A teenager, drunk, rams, kills people, and then later is just told to write an essay. There is hue and cry by the media, and only then, only after that, there is investigation that takes place. His family, which is moneyed, just goes on to ensure that the son can get out without any problem. And even today, he's being treated as a minor. Let me just very quickly give you a sense, some numbers of what we are living in India. 19 deaths are reported every single hour. There are 19 Fauja Singhs, 19 people across the country, those who lose their life on the roads, and that happens every single hour. In 2022, 1.68 lakh road fatalities. People died on the roads, bleeding on the roads. 2022, 4.43 lakh injuries. People were injured in road accidents. The World Bank says India has 1% of world's vehicles, 10% of crash deaths. Annual, as far as the deaths are concerned, annually, 10% crash deaths. People die, on road. Account for 66.5% of road fatalities. Imagine that. In 2022, 50,000 people were killed for not wearing helmet. 2022, nearly 17,000 people were killed not wearing seat belts. 15.3% rise in road fatalities, ladies and gentlemen, between 2021 and 22. And between 18 and 22, 7.28 lakh fatalities have been reported in this country. At this moment, let me go across to Mr. Aman Arora, Minister in the government of Punjab, who is joining me on the phone line. Mr. Arora, thank you so much for speaking to us here on NDTV. Sir, it's a very sad case of what has happened with Mr. Fauja Singh. What a legend, inspiration to so many people. I'm sure the entire state of Punjab is mourning the loss of such a legend in such cruel way, sir.
Definitely, Fauja Singh was definitely a legend, pride of Punjab and inspiration for millions of people. Like the whole Punjab is mourning today because he has brought laurels to the state and to the country. And I think when himself was an institution, and with the fall of such an institution, I think it's a great loss to the society.
Mr. Arora, let me ask you this. It also highlights how unsafe our roads are. Can I understand from you what is happening as far as this case is concerned?
In this particular case, as you rightly said before we started discussing, there is a serious concern that we all have to put together in how to control this case in the death case of Fauja Singh. He was in the vicinity of his house, and there was, I think, and in that, now I just got information that the accused car have been identified, and police is on the job, and culprit will be also nabbed very soon.
This is very important information that you are telling us, sir, at this moment, that the accused car has been identified, and very soon the accused will be booked. We are hoping that this serves an example as far as these such kind of cases are concerned. For hit and run is the most heinous crime, or at least help the victim if you have accidentally, hit them. May I also understand from you, sir, taking an example of this case, what will the government do for Mr. Fauja Singh and his family? And, are there initiatives that the government is bringing in to make roads safer in Punjab?
See, we have, in last 3.5 years, we have taken multiple initiatives to make Punjab roads safe. For example, we have brought in a law wherein, like, if something of this kind happens, so the person will be rewarded if he takes the victim to the hospital, number one. Number two, 3 years back, we have also introduced Sadak Suraksha Force, wherein thousands of vehicles, and policemen were with the first aid kits and all that. They have been deputed on the roads of Punjab, and I very proudly can tell this that the response time of those vehicles is almost less than 5 minutes. So that means wherever accident happens on the highways in Punjab, our team reaches there within 4 to 5 minutes. So that's and that has substantially brought down the fatality rate on Punjab roads. But as you rightly said, this is a very sad case. He was just in the vicinity of his house in the interiors of a mohalla, and this happened. This is but still, whatever needs to be done from the government side, I assure the country through you that whatever needs to be done, we'll talk to the family, and whatever needs to be done, we'll do it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arora, for speaking to NDTV. Big breaking news coming in at this moment. Minister in the government of Punjab, Mr. Aman Arora, telling NDTV that the accused, the car has been identified, and very soon the man who's responsible, or the woman, we don't know that yet, the person who's responsible, who was behind wheels when, and hit Mr. Fauja Singh, which resulted in his death, will be behind bars. They will be caught very, very soon. Thank you for speaking to NDTV. But one big question, why is it that people take all these, accidents keep happening? I just showed you the numbers of how critical the situation is as far as the road fatalities are concerned. One reason is how easy it is for people if you have money to get away from these kind of cases. The point in case is the Pune Porsche, accident, where the court today has rejected the appeal to try the juvenile as an adult. The police, in fact, filed a plea in the court that they wanted to try the juvenile as the adult. He is now more than 18 years old. The Pune accused, they wanted him to be tried for, as an adult, because remember, 14th month since this accident took place, at that point of time when the accident did take place, this teenager, this culprit, was drunk on alcohol. He was drunk on money that his family had. Look at this video. This is the video of that bar where this young boy, along with two of his friends, was drinking. If he was old enough to get a drink in a bar, why shouldn't he be tried as an adult? If he was old enough to be given a Porsche car, and if he was a juvenile at that point of time, he did not even have the license. If he was given a supercar, this car, which ended 2 innocent lives on the streets of Pune, when possibly he was bragging to his friends of how fast he can drive this, why shouldn't he be tried as an adult? 2 techies, a young man and a woman, lost their life. They did not deserve to die on the streets like that, the way they died. But still, he will not be tried as an adult. Remember, the Juvenile Justice Board told him to write an essay and let him off. But still, he should not be tried as an adult. The boy's mother was later arrested because the family tried everything. His father bribed officials to switch the blood samples. It's a full conspiracy, but he should not be tried as an adult. His mother, who was arrested, later released on bail for, in fact, paying hush money to try and save their 17-year-old. But that doesn't amount to any hue and cry. Then still he should not be tried as an adult. 2 professionals, young people, died at the hands of this man, this 17-year-old, who was allowed to drink, allowed to drive, but he should not be tried as an adult. That's what the Juvenile Justice Board thinks. Let me very quickly just give you some more sense as far as this case is concerned. Remember, the Juvenile Justice Board now has rejected the police's petition. The Juvenile Justice Board at that point of time was treating this case with kid gloves. They just wanted him to write an essay and get off. Because